Okay, so I know it's been a while. We're in book 18. We've already done the trauma that was Argo's best boy. Odysseus is currently in his palace on his undercover mission as this old beggar. He's had a stool thrown at him by Antinous. He's starting to see the situation and just how awful it is in the palace. And we know that the only person who knows what's going on is him, Telemachus, and Athena, so the gods. But nobody else on Ithaca knows what's going on. There's a saying, if youth knew, if age could. Nestor took that personally. Correct. Bring on the brainy flirting. Yes, we do know it has been, because Penelope has heard about what's going on and she's pretty upset about it. She's like, what the fuck? What do you mean? That is happening in my house. And she wants to speak also with this man who has said he brought, like he had seen Odysseus, which we all know she's desperate for any sort of news. So she wants to meet with this stranger. And so Odysseus is in disguise. And she has heard from Eumaeus about this man. And what we're essentially going to get is Odysseus is going to, in disguise, speak with his wife. And we're going to see some more of the suitor shenanigans. Agnes! Yes. And for those who do not know, there's all sorts of discussions and questions and insanity that goes on in the Discord, which you can join for free, generally for Patreon, but also I am posting and pinning that message here, so if anybody who's not in the Discord wants to join the insanity that's there, we actually have a whole thread that's called, like, Odyssey Book Club, which is where, like, stuff related to this, or just other general, like, Greek myth, Greek language, culture, history stuff, like those kind of questions and discussions go on. It's a very fun time in the Discord. We are quite chaotic. So, we have book 18. Is this the Melanthol book or is that 19? It's either, was this the Melanthol book? I think this is the Melanthol book. Bit of house cleaning, if you have questions. Yes, bit of house cleaning. If you have a question in the middle of when I'm reading and you want me to answer, use the, like, hand raised emoji so I can see it out of the corner of my eye. Otherwise, you might just get lost in the sea of questions. And so that is extremely, so that's usually protocol. Every now and then I might catch a question if you don't do it, but generally do it if you have a question you want to be answered, because I'm not going to really notice otherwise. The emoji catches my attention with the colors. Extra bingo if the bottle is empty at the end. That would be impressive. It's a full spray bottle. Okay. Book 18. The Beggar-King of Ithaca. Now, along came this tramp, this public nuisance, who used to scrounge a living round the streets of Ithaca, notorious for his belly, a ravenous, bottomless pit for food and drink. But he had no pith, no brawn, despite the looming hulk that met your eyes. Arnius was his name, so his worthy mother called him at birth. But all the young men called him Irus for short, because he'd hustle messages at any beck and call. It is Irus. So, they say Arnius was his name, but all the young men called him Irus for short. This, presumably, is probably due to the fact that he runs errands. He plays a messenger. And similarly to how Iris, or Iris, runs the messages and is the messenger for the gods and runs their, someone else who got called it. Agnes, it doesn't mean the same. I don't actually know, Agnes, if you're kidding or being serious. Tramp is another word for, like, a vagrant in this case. That's what that word means. It's why Charlie Chaplin, his most famous character, was known as the tramp. He's a vagrant. Essentially, like, he's without house and home, essentially. So then since, we've mentioned this is presumably a kind of nod to the work of Iris, I'm gonna have to adjust this a bit. Like the tramp, exactly. Like Lady and the Tramp. That's what we mean. Exactly. See, Mariana gets what I'm putting down. So, who's Iris then, since we've mentioned her? She's the personification of the rainbow and she's the messenger for the Olympians. She's really often noted closely as running errands almost specifically and serving Hera. Though she technically serves them all, she does work really closely with Hera. So in terms of etymology, fun is that her name does apparently literally translate as rainbow. But apparently, I read a linguist note that it could also apparently refer to the halo that surrounds the moon, sort of that light halo that surrounds the moon and sky. But we really generally mean it with rainbow. She's usually portrayed in ancient art as a young woman who carries a kerukeon or a caduceus, because that's the traditional kind of symbol of messengers. Was he really always hungry, thirsty? Was the saying he was always asking for something to eat and drink? Good question. Given he's a tramp, it might be this was how he made his living, was that he was just always begging for food and drink. He's a vagrant, he's a tramp, he's a beggar kind of thing. So likely the latter. Good question. So what's really interesting about Iris is that she doesn't really have any sort of unique mythology of her own. Like, there's no story about Iris. She appears in a lot of other myths, but she doesn't really have a myth of her own. In fact, even evidence of like her having cult worship or everything is pretty scarce. I think there's some remnants that were found on Delos, but they were even then pretty scant. We don't really have a lot of stuff, just didn't survive over time. So if there was a more widespread worship of her, we just don't have it. It didn't last. How commonplace were nicknames like this during the Bronze Age? I've wondered since Odie was introduced in Epic. Something like Odie would have never been used. I mean, that's something that's just done in Epic, likely to serve rhyming schemes and such. But giving someone a name other than their own, I actually do not know how commonplace that was. But the idea that we do have these sort of like diminutive nicknames, like Odie for Odysseus or Pen for Penelope and stuff, like that concept doesn't seem to have really been there. But calling him Irus because we're being clever and he just likes to run messages for everybody, I don't actually know. But I do know at least that sort of diminutive nicknaming thing I don't think was common at that point. So that's a very good question. So with Iris, according to Hesiod's Theogony, she's said to be the daughter of Thaumas, who's a son of Pontus and Gaia, as well as the Oceanid Electra. Not to be confused with Agamemnon's daughter, they just happen to have the same name. I do know that there was a tradition of her usually being the consort of Zephyrus, who is the west wind. And at least I know in terms of writing, if you want to find an air quote source for this, even though he's much later, I believe it is Nonus in his Dionysiaca, oh, that always throws me up, notes them as being consorts of each other, and I believe he also says they are the parents of Potos, who's like an Eroid, which are sort of like immortal beings related to like lust and love, kind of like related to Eros, coming from Eros. But usually Iris exists, she's serving this link between humanity and the gods because she can travel, it is said, with kind of the speed of the winds, and she will deliver messages from one end of the world to the other, even deliver messages down to the bottom depth of the sea, and even all the way down into the underworld. Like, she's everywhere. All places everywhere. So, in the Greek, as word-to-word translation, he was famous for his raging mad belly, excessive in drinking and eating. So he is excessive even. He is all about excess, which makes sense. He is then serving the suitors, because they're all about excess. Moderation doesn't exist with them. But yes, a little fun, little side tangent on Iris, since we're making the joke and the play on his name of they call him Irus because he functions as a messenger and will basically kind of do whatever you need and go wherever, right? That's the joke. Iris would win. She's faster. Genuinely, she's faster than Hermes. Which means with a solution of continuity. Well, he came by to rout the king from his own house and met Odysseus with a rough, abusive burst. "Get off the porch, you old goat, for I haul you off by the leg. Can't you see them give me the wink? All of them here to drag you out. And so I would. But I've got my pangs of conscience. Up with you, man. Before you know it, we'll be trading blows." A killing look, and the wily, Old soldier countered. Out of your mind? What damage have I done you? What have I said? I don't grudge you anything. Not if the next man up and gives you plenty. This door sill is big enough for the both of us. You've got no call to grudge me what's not yours. You're another vagrant, just like me, I'd say. And it lies with the gods to make us rich or poor. So keep your fists to yourselves. Don't press your luck. Don't rile me. Or, old as I am, I'll bloody your lip, splatter your chest, and buy myself some peace and quiet for tomorrow. I doubt you'll ever come lumbering back again to the halls of Laertes' royal son, Odysseus. What do they mean by abusive burst in this context? Like a burst of words, like he just suddenly starts spitting out tons of words all at once, and they are abusive in that they are rude as shit. He's giving him a really hard time. He's putting out a burst of words, and it's all negative. Hey, Chromatic Hound, you're not too late. No, we're just on line 30. Look who's talking, the beggar rumbled in anger. How this pot-bellied pig runs off at the mouth like an old crone at her oven. Well, I've got a knockout blow in store for him. I'll batter the tramp with both fists, crack every tooth from his jaws. I'll litter the ground with teeth from a rogue souse, punished for rooting corn. Belt up, till the lords can see you fight it out. How can you beat a champion half your age? Which, if anybody can now recall what happened with the Phaeacians when those dumbass himbo, like, frat bras were like, what's this guy got? And they were seeing Odysseus with the glam up from Odysseus. So, like, oh dear. Tongue lashing each other, tempers flaring, there on the polished sill before the lofty doors, and Antinous, that grand prince, hearing them wrangle, broke into gloating laughter, calling out to the suitors, friends, nothing like this has come our way before. What sport god has brought the palace now? That stranger and Irus, look. And they battle it out, fist flying. Come, let's pit them against each other. Fast. All leapt from their seats with whoops of laughter, clustering round the pair of ragged beggars there, as Eupeithes' son Antinous planned the contest. Quiet, my fine friends. Here's what I propose. These goat sausages sizzling here in the fire, we packed them with fat and blood to have for supper. Now, whoever wins this bout and proves the stronger, let that man step up and take his pick of the lot. What's more, from this day on, he feasts among us. No other beggar will we allow inside to cage his meals from us. Which is like, this is so shitty. I mean, as much as everybody loves contests and all, it's the way that Antinous is doing it that it's like, really? Really? Also, it's not your fucking house. Like, bruh, this isn't your house. You can't be doing this shit. It's not your house. Prince. Yeah, so the use of the word prince is essentially designating him as a noble. Again, remember, all of the suitors were some form of nobility. Like, in some way. Whether they're being descended from kings, warlords, like, whatever have you, wealthy landowners. They are essentially nobility. These are all upper class people. Rudeness didn't know he had just broken a rule, never mess with an old man in a story. I mean, honestly. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, would you like to come up? Do you want to come a piece? I think you do. I think you want a piece. Yeah, oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, work. Here we go. I know, Peg is here. gosh, sorry, I like totally lost my page real fast. Don't know why I did that. Ah, there we go. Do you know where the bingo card is? It's in the Discord. Peg wants to watch the fight. It's true. Yeah, exactly. Making them fight for scraps and everything else. And it's also, again, not his house. Yeah, the bingo, I do believe, is in the Odyssey book club thread. Like, if you go and look through media or something, it's in there. Because Nia made it. It's made on this on purpose. Yeah, it's the parody of Ajax and Odysseus fighting in the funerary games of Patroclus. Correct. Because again, when we do the Iliad, you will find we're going to do quite a few funeral games, and Odysseus and Ajax battle over the OG Achilles armor that Patroclus wore before he died. And then, of course, Achilles is going to get his bespoke Hephaestus-made plot armor, which, again, Ajax the Greater and Odysseus are going to essentially game and, sportsmanship with over, and eventually it's going to go to Odysseus, which leads to Ajax the Greater and all that. Would he listen if Telemachus or Penelope said it's not his house, or would he not even care anymore? By this point, I don't know if he would actually care anymore. He would probably talk his way around it and say something like, we're just having fun. Like, you're already hosting us, what's one more? Do you not think? Like, he would turn it into a mocking situation. How did this not cause a thunderstrike because of the physical fight? Agnes, what do you mean? It's a physical fight, but remember, we're in an undercover. If it's because it's Odysseus, we're in an undercover mission. And what they're doing is they're pitting two beggars, what they think are two beggars, against each other. They're not fighting the royal house, so far as they know. And again, remember, this is an undercover op that is sanctioned by the gods. Yeah, he doesn't really care anymore. It's true. Antinous and all the other suitors, by this point, are so far gone. I have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it keeps happening, I know. Here it's all dequalified because it's no fight between 2 heroes. It's a hero between awful Batman. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Agnes. It's not just Antinous. All the suitors are far gone. All of them. Every single one. They are also very lucky none of these beggars are a god in disguise. They'd be so fucked. Frankly, it'd be entertaining to watch that happen. But, anywho. They all cheered. But Odysseus, foxy veteran. Yeah, they don't wear a mask. Well, right now, they especially don't wear a mask because they're like, these people are below us. And neither of them are of the royal house. One of whom is a foreigner, the other is a guy who does our bidding because we feed and pay him. So we don't have to worry about him. It's very telling of their personalities and the type of people they are because they see these guys as essentially subhuman and unimportant. Well, no spoilers. It's an interesting point indeed. Yeah, also that. They all cheered, but Odysseus, a foxy veteran, plodded on. Friends, how can an old man worn down with pain stand up to a young buck? It's just this belly of mine, this troublemaker, tempts me to take a licking. So first, all of you swear me a binding oath. Come, not one of you steps in for Irus here, strikes me a foul blow to put him through and lays me in the dust. Odysseus does not trust a single one of these guys. Rightfully so. He's like, no fucking shenanigans. You want me versus this guy? It's me versus this guy, not me versus him plus anybody else who decides to be sneaky as shit. Right? Yeah, exactly. He shouldn't trust them, and he absolutely doesn't. And at that, they all mouthed the oath that he required. And once they vowed they'd never interfere, Prince Telemachus drove the matter home. So Telemachus is watching this all happen. He's letting it happen because he knows his father has a plan, right? Like, let's remember, Thank you, sirens. This is all a part of the plan. Telemachus is in on the plan. So Telemachus is behaving probably slightly differently than he normally would because he's in on the plan. Even though he's probably not entirely sure what the whole plan is, he gets that this is all part of his father's plan and he does not want to step on the toes of that. Stranger, if your spine and fighting pride prompt you to go against this fellow now, have no fear of any suitor in the pack. Whoever fouls you will have to face a crowd. Count on me, your host. And 2 lords back me up. Antinous and Eurymachus, both are men of sense. So he's putting the spotlight on Antinous and Eurymachus, the 2 kind of most likely to potentially do something shady in his mind and who are kind of the big mouthpieces of the suitors. He names them because he puts them in the spotlight and he says, yeah, nobody will do anything shady. These 2 will make sure nothing shady happens. Right, guys? Call Eurymachus Basiles. Basiles. So is that him calling him, like, when he's calling them the 2 lords? Get, Agnes, get. Yeah, right, guys? It's absolutely, like, that whole major side eye is the, right, guys? Like, I fucking dare you to contradict me. Which is showing how Telemachus is starting to step up. He's matured a lot in his role in that he's playing along with the game. He's not trying to interfere. He's actually, in a way, supporting what his father's doing, but he's playing the game. They all shouted approval of the prince as Odysseus belted up, roping his rags around his loins, bearing his big, rippling thighs. Tree trunks. Tree trunks. Yeah. Antinous and Eurymachus are honorable men. Yes, calling to Shakespeare, the great speech. Let's go, the thighs. His big, rippling thighs. His boxers' broad shoulders. His massive chest and burly arms on full display as Athena stood beside him, fleshing out the limbs of the great commander. Basically, she's letting the disguise drop a little bit. She's like, oh, you're so cute, you moron. This is who you would be fighting, my champion. Big, I know, big, rippling thighs, boxer chest. So he's built like essentially, he's a short fridge. He's built like a square. Man is barrel-chested, built like boxer, big thighs, like, yeah. She's letting the disguise drop just enough for them to get a hint of basically the death that is coming for them, but also be like, oh, you underestimated this guy. This will teach you. It's yes, Athena, making our boy look good. He's a tiny tank. Yeah, he's a tank. Despite their swagger, the suitors were amazed, gaping at one another, trading forecasts. Eros will soon be ironed out for good. He's in for the beating he's begged for all along. Look at the hams on that old timer. Just under his rags. Which is to say, appearances are deceiving. Again, what if this were a god in disguise, guys? Each outcry jolted Iris to the core. Too late. The servants trussed his clothes up, dragged him on, the flesh on his body quaking now in terror. He's just like the suitors in that they pick on those who are not as strong as they are. He's a reflection of them just in the lower class, essentially. Antinous rounded on him, flinging insults. You clumsy ox. You're better off dead or never born at all if you cringe at him, paralyzed with fear of an old, broken hulk, ground down by the pains that hound his steps. Mark my word. So help me, I'll make it good. If that old relic whips you and wins the day, I'll toss you into a black ship and sail you off to Akitus, the mainland king who wrecks all men alive. He'll lop your nose and ears with his ruthless blade. He'll rip your privates out by the roots. He will. And serve them up to his dogs to bolt them raw. How easy would it be for the suitors to break this oath? I guess there's no added consequences like breaking oath. Yes, we're not on the level 6, but getting a reputation as an oath breaker would be bad. Especially when Telemachus is here watching, which means it'll get around Ithaka. So right now, this is all reputation. And we've talked about how reputation is so important to these characters. Like, it can be seen as something really petty, but look, Zeus encouraged Poseidon to basically destroy an entire civilization because he felt his reputation was wronged. So this is about reputation. This is, don't get the reputation as an oath breaker that you did this and you were being overseen by the guy in the house and you just decided to play dirty. When it comes to contests of physical strength, people do not want to play dirty. They actually really truly don't, because that is reputation damage beyond repair. And Antinous again is just, functioning as the mouthpiece of the suitors, but he's the mouthpiece really for the whole. They are awful to those they perceive as weaker than them. And it's like their behavior is revolting here, I know. That threat shook his knees with a stronger fit, but they hauled him into the ring. We're essentially getting a preview of what's going to happen to the suitors is, oh, you talked a big game. You swung around like you had a big dick. Then you meet someone who actually has big dick energy and backs it up. Both men put up their fists, with the seasoned fighter Odysseus deeply torn now. Should he knock him senseless, leave him dead where he dropped, or just stretch him out on the ground with a light jab? As he mulled things over, that way seemed the best. A glancing blow, the suitors would not detect him. So this is all, I could break this man, but it would kind of give me away. Right? So he goes, I'll just slap him lightly. Knock him out, but like not give myself away. The two men squared off, and Idos hurled a fist at Odysseus' right shoulder as he came through with a hook below the ear, pounding Idos' neck, smashing the bones inside. Suddenly, red blood came spurting out of his mouth, and headlong down he pitched into the dust, howling, teeth locked in a grin, feet beating the ground. Divine School of Athenokuto. Yeah, he clocks him good in this. I mean, saying you're coming around with a hook under the arm, like, that ain't a light jab! He clocks him right up where he's ringing that man's bell and probably broke his jaw. The small dick being preferable. I think that's a Roman thing, but I could be wrong. Yeah, realistically, how much can I fuck this man up here? And the princely suitors, flinging their hands in the air, died laughing. Grabbing him by the leg, Odysseus hauled him through the porch, across the yard to the outer gate, heaped him against the courtyard wall, sitting slumped, stuck his stick in his hand, and gave him a parting shot. Now hold down your post. Play the scarecrow to all the pigs and dogs. No more lording it over strangers. No more playing the Beggar-King for you, you loathsome fool. You'll bring down something worse around your neck. Honestly, Idos kind of gets off easy. Only one suitor is princely. No. Get. He threw his beggar's sack across his shoulders, torn and tattered, slung from a fraying rope. Then back he went to the sill and took his seat. The suitors ambled back as well, laughing jauntily, toasting the beggar warmly now, those proud young blades, one man egging the other on. Stranger friend, may Zeus and the other deathless gods fill your sack with blessings. All your heart's desires. You've knocked him out of action, that insatiable tramp. That parasite on land. Ship him off to Akitus fast, the mainland king who wrecks all men alive. Welcome words, and a lucky omen, too. Odysseus' heart leapt up. Antinous laid before him a generous goat sausage, bubbling fat and blood. Amphinomus took 2 loaves from the wicker tray and set them down beside him, drank his health in a golden cup, and said, "Cheers, old friend, old father, saddled as you are with so much trouble. Here's to your luck. Great days from this day on." Notice the turnaround in everyone's behavior. Because remember, just the past book, so literally almost moments ago, they're hurling insults at beggar Odysseus. They're throwing a fucking stool at him. Like, note how this has turned around now that he has entertained them. And notice how Amphinomus is now only speaking nicely to him because that's what everybody's doing. It's the popular thing to do now. Amphinomus, most likely to actually be a psychopath. I appreciate the irony. The suitors hope the beggar has the blessings of the gods and from Zeus. That's what he gets at Sarsadires, and he does later on. It is good irony. It's great irony. Yeah, no, Amphinomus is probably the greatest snake in that he's also kind of the most terrifying in this regard. He mostly stays silent, only starts participating where he realizes it's the popular thing to do, and it's the one that will likely make him look the best. Like, for example, he stayed silent during all this stuff going on when Antinous is throwing a stool at Odysseus, right? But now, you know, Odysseus has won this contest, everybody's being in favor, and even Antinous is giving him his helping of sausage, Antinous is entertained. Now Amphinomus actually talks to him and is like, "Hey, stranger, to your health." And it's like, you snake! He is an absolute snake. He is an opportunist, a psychopath. I'm freaking Peg out by doing this. She's like, "What are you doing, Mom?" Oh, thank you, Clover. We're so glad that you're back. We've missed you. Peg is getting really sick of me shooting the sprayer. I think that's why she left. But thank you, Clover. Which, if anyone would realize the size, if I see an old man suddenly one-shots a mountain of a man, I start to think there's something sus here. And there was. Athena was there. Yeah, absolutely. Which, of course, none of them can see Athena. But it's true. This should be a massive warning sign. And none of them are clocking it. It's kind of astonishing. I mean, you'd think it's astonishing none of them are clocking it, but they've been given omens since book 2 and they haven't been clocking them. But also, I mean, fun fact, it's not this chapter, it's not the next one. I think book 20 in here is called Portents Gather. So like a lot of omens and portents and signs are starting to crop up. And once again, the suitors are ignoring them. They are just willfully ignoring them. Yeah, Peg, why are we spraying this? Well, to be fair, she's used to me using a spray bottle if I'm using like conditioner on her or like fragrance or something. So she's probably just like, "Oh, hell no, you ain't brushing me. I've already done that." So yeah, so it is like, they don't even clock. Yeah, and it's true. They don't clock any of them. They don't even clock there might be a god in disguise, which there is. She's hiding. She's watching. She's taken away some of Odysseus' disguise so that when he's like getting ready to fight, they see some of Odysseus, the actual warrior, his body, as opposed to like an old man body, which like you'd think this would be like, hey, something. No, not a one of them clock this. It's, at this point, you're just like, Darwin called. Survival of the fittest at its finest. None of you are surviving. It's absolutely insane. And the one who knew the world replied at length, "Amphinomus, you seem a man of good sense to me, just like your father. At least I've heard his praises. Nisus, or Nisus, of Dulichion, a righteous man and rich. Your son, they say, you seem well-spoken, too." So saying he's of good sense and well-spoken, in that he's playing this game extremely well, and we do know he is well-spoken. He does have good manners. He's a facade. Amphinomus is essentially a facade. He's forever hides behind his good manners. And he is, I would say, probably the most, in a way, playing a long game devious of all the suitors. He's actually quite terrifying to me. Ira saw it, and God, it's Yeah, no, Eros saw it and rightfully got shit scared. I mean, you have to do think like Eros, like they mock him for getting all freaked out, but I'm like, no, Eros saw it and went, oh, I have definitely gotten into more than I can handle. Which also, again, is speaking to Eros's character in that he is ultimately himself, rather like the suitors. He's a coward. He's nothing because he only talks big when he thinks he's gonna win. Which it makes me think of this phrase my dad would always say. He would say something to the effect of, nobody ever actually picks a fight they think they can win. Like, most decent people do not pick a fight with someone they think they can genuinely beat, like a physical fight. You could genuinely beat the shit out of. Because that's fucking psychopath behavior. Why do you willingly want to pick a fight with someone just to physically harm them and beat them up? That's psychopath behavior. You do it where you think either it's an even contest or there's a possibility you might lose. So it's like, all these suitors and Eros are all essentially showing that behavior of they're only picking fights they think they are going to win. They're psychopaths. Yeah, Odysseus just called him a fake bitch. Oh, he did. Odysseus is bringing you prime Southern lady. He's giving you some prime Jane Austen. This is some, oh, bless your heart, energy. Which, let me tell you, for those who have not read Jane Austen, if you're familiar with the idea of like the classic Southern lady and how they will say things that sound nice but are actually the most cutting shit you can imagine, Jane Austen was the master of that. Yeah, schoolyard bully behavior. They're being psychopaths. They're being bullies. And whereas Odysseus got himself into fights where he was not always sure he would win. Even his battling in the funerary games, like those actual contests of will, they're all, you would say, kind of uneven playing field. So it's a genuine matchup. Now, even in this case, he knows he's going to win. So he makes the decision to not totally beat this man's ass, also because it would give him away. Yes, exactly. The thing with Eros, he's a dog. He's their servant. He's below them on the totem pole. He follows along because they feed him and they pay him. He's functioning almost more like an animal. He is kind of in a way treated as subhuman and behaves that way. But he is also, even so, a little better than the suitors because Antinous straight up threw a stool at Odysseus. Iris at least initially comes up and says, "Look, they're telling me to beat your ass. Go." Like, oh, he at least tries to initially, as rude as he is, give the option for Odysseus to just get. He tries to do, like, just get. But then he's like, but I'm gonna have to, like, I got a job, they're paying me, I will do what I need to do. But he then is also being a bully about it because he is also a bit of a bully. It's very interesting. Let's point out. Oh, yeah. He just gets punished and hard. I mean, dude, he just absolutely got his jaw broken. With where Odysseus smacked him right here, Odysseus likely broke his jaw, may have actually also caused some sort of fracture up in here, hence blood is coming out. Yeah, exactly. You can be in a bad situation, but it doesn't mean you're going to escape the consequences for bad behavior. Exactly. Even the Greek heroes, when they do something that's, bad behavior, they get punished for it, right? Nobody is immune to consequences, of the humans at least. So absolutely. It is very interesting because you consider essentially the power dynamics of the situation and all of that. And it's like, look, yeah, he's in a shit situation, but he's still doing it. And he did it because he thought he would win, too. I mean, he did it, yes, because they offered him a bunch of stuff, but it's pretty clear he thought he would win till he got a good look at the actual body of Odysseus. Rippling thighs. No. Oh, sorry, Peg. That time I accidentally. Sorry, Peg. No, Agnes. No. Absolutely not. Do not make assumptions on him venomous to make him a nice guy. He's a psychopath. The Kansa needs the quince. True. I'm so sorry, Peg. She's probably now got glitter on her ass. Agnes! Look what you made me do! No, I'm kidding. Peg, I'm sorry, Peg. You're fine. Hold on. You're fine. You're fine. Only a little got on you. You probably now have glitter on your ass. That's great. Anyway. But yes, there's your fight. There's your one physical fight, but it's between beggars who are not members of the household. And it was for their entertainment. Isn't psychopath also an assumption? I'm noticing his behavior. Am I making an interpretation that he's a psychopath? I'm telling you they're all psychopaths, just by their behavior. They bully the weak. They suck up to the strong. Air quotes. They're all psychopaths. Amphinomous is a part of that crowd. But I do see your lighthearted tag. But he's not, but my issue, Agnes, as always, is you constantly try to make it so he's not a bad guy. You give him explanations for his behavior so that he's not a bad guy. Well, it is edible glitter, so it actually really doesn't stay around that long. It does like kind of biodegrade, like it actually, I know it is the herpes of craft supplies, but it actually doesn't stick around that badly. It's the only reason. And also, I put so little in this one bottle. Like, I mean, I can see how much is in there, which seems like a ton, but we'll see. Yeah, explanation, not justification. Exactly. The herpes of... Oh, have you never heard that phrase? The herpes of craft supplies? I've heard that since I was like several decades now. That's always the joke, because if you use glitter, it ends up everywhere, even if you don't mean it to, and you will find it later. Like that and like feathers are another one. It's the guy who bothers women he doesn't know on purpose and then gets mad at them when they reject him. Correct. I mean, that's literally what he's doing here. Oh, I'm so glad we were able, Neo, to introduce you to this phrase, the herpes of craft supplies. I don't even know where it comes from initially, but it's just sort of a well-known, almost meme by this point, that glitter is the herpes of craft supplies, because it just spreads everywhere. And you will find it later. It's true, you never get rid of glitter. You will find it. I find glitter on paintbrushes that I'm pretty sure I had scrubbed to oblivion, and then I'm like, why is this still putting forth glitter? Where did the glitter come from? Hans. True, yeah, it won't harm Peg if she licks it off, but she's not really gonna lick. I mean, she barely got misted, to be fair. A literal rotten person. Yes, very much so. It's why glitter bombs are such a big pain. It's so true if you've ever used them. Hans Cinemas. I love it. Once you place the behaviors within the context and into account with all he does and doesn't do, that's when it all comes together. It's a strategy as a suitor. Exactly. That's the thing. Like, we're looking at the overall context of how he's behaving in relation to everything else. And we're like, oh my God. I mean, like everybody else, he's essentially a psychopath, but he's also clearly playing an extreme long game. And it's kind of terrifying, his long game, like how good he is at it. Again, he speaks extremely well. He is an entirely shallow mask. It's kind of, again, Amphinomus actually ultimately scares me a bit more than all the rest, because while Antinous is highly volatile and he's very outwardly aggressive, okay, we see that. He's kind of he's like a bottle rocket. He goes, pfft. We're like, okay, well then now he's cooled off and he's done. But he is absolutely dangerous, but you see him coming. He's not subtle. Eurymachus is very much our gaslighting snake oil salesman. But there's an oily feeling to the way that he speaks where it's like, I don't trust this immediately. Amphinomus hides it so well, and he speaks and moves himself in such a way that it's really quite scary. He would frankly make a great serial killer. And yeah, like the rest, he's committing an assault, a very physical assault. As we know, this is like the siege of the house of Odysseus. But what he's doing is infinitely more subtle because he's playing the long game. He wants to be the last man standing out of all these guys. It's quite terrifying. He's literally like textbook, like a serial killer who would go uncaught for a good while. True. Although Count of Monte Cristo, I will admittedly justify Edmond Dantes a little more than the rest because he gets screwed over so royally in the beginning. But yeah, no, it's like, I love Eric, the Phantom of the Opera. I love Edmond Dantes' Count of Monte Cristo. They do some extremely fucked up shit, and I don't stand by a lot of the fucked up shit they do, especially Phantom. But they're fascinating characters. But I wouldn't say Amphinomus is anywhere near as charismatic as those guys. Oh my God, Draco, that would be cruel. That would be cruel. I would disown you if you were my kid and you did that. Anyway, so I will tell you something. Listen closely. Of all that breathes and crawls along the earth, our Mother Earth breeds nothing feebler than a man. So long as the gods grant him power, spring in his knees, he thinks he will never suffer affliction down the years. But then, when the happy gods bring on the long, hard times, bear them he must, against his will and steal his heart. Our lives, our mood and mind as we pass across the earth turn as the days turn. As the father of men and gods makes each day dawn, I too seemed destined to be a man of fortune once, and a wild wickish swath I cut, indulged my lust for violence, staking all on my father and my brothers. Look at me now. And so I say, let no man ever be lawless all his life. Just take in peace what gifts the gods will send. Never be lawless. And Odysseus could not be more straightforward, and this man still ain't gonna take the hint. True, but here I see you suitors plotting your reckless work, carving away at the wealth, affronting the loyal wife of a man who won't be gone from kin and country long. I say he's right at hand, and may some power save you, spirit you home before you meet him face to face the moment he returns to native ground. Once under his own roof, he and your friends, believe you me, won't part till blood has flowed. Am I wrong in thinking Odysseus isn't trying to convince Amphinomus to leave, but is gently warning him of what is to come? That is, he's calling him out in a subtle way. Yeah, he's absolutely calling him out. He's not, I don't even think he's being subtle. Let no man, what does he say? Let no man ever be lawless all his life. Like staring at him while he says this. And he tells him, he goes, and he actually, you know what he does? With this man doesn't take the hint though. I believe Amphi takes the hint, but they're superseding it. But there's also okay, we'll make the argument that we do think that Amphi seems to maybe get the hint, but it's far too late for there to be a hint. Because what Odysseus does here, he kind of does Amphinomus, he essentially mirrors. If anybody knows this thing called mirroring, it's talked about a lot in psychology, where often those who are abusive want you to mirror their emotions back at them. We talk about it a lot if you talk about like narcissistic parents and narcissistic abuse. What they want is mirroring. They want you to reflect back at them what they're feeling, right? And validate them. Odysseus literally just mirrored Amphinomus. Amphinomus comes in with his whole thing that he's doing. Odysseus has absolutely clocked the kind of person Amphinomus is, and he absolutely pulls I can speak well too. And he says, he goes, you speak well. So what does Odysseus do? He speaks well back at him. He literally just essentially pulls an Amphinomus. This is very similar. I mean, while I can't speak to the Greek and the construction of it, the way that it's written here, he's essentially doing Amphinomus going like, I'm just saying we shouldn't kill him, but hey, if the gods say. I mean, this is what Odysseus is doing. He goes, I think he's close at hand. He's like, he's like, and may some power save you. Like, I'm hands off on this one, but unless the gods come in and say otherwise, kind of thing. Which is exactly what Amphinomus did when they talked about the plan to go murder Telemachus. He's like, but some power save him, but if the gods say, Odysseus is essentially mirroring back at Amphinomus what Amphinomus has been doing to other characters this whole time. Isn't it even in the Greek like the same? Because it's like, to me, I'm just like, I feel like this is Odysseus like cosplaying as Amphinomus. He's very much mirroring back Amphinomus back at him. Which might be why Amphinomus is one of the only ones who kind of gets a hint. Because again, I'm convinced he's one of the smartest of the suitors. It's what makes him one of the most dangerous and, to me, really scary of all of them. I don't think it's the same, but I will check. Yeah, I'm not sure about construction, but like tone and what's happening here, it's totally, he's doing the same thing. He's sort of putting his hands up and he's, as I said, it's called mirroring. He's reflecting back at Amphinomus who Amphinomus is, which is, again, as Mariana noted, Amphinomus seems to clock what might be going on, but Athena steps in going, that's cute, but no. But some power save you. No, power says no. Some power says absolutely not. Consa meet quences. Right? And that's why I love that bit. It's so subtle. It is Odysseus recognizing a snake. And he's like, Will he be smart enough to get what I'm saying? But it doesn't even matter. Because again, Odysseus has the gods on his side. He's in the right. And current market just. Oh, yay, Clover, that's great. Yeah, mirroring is something I've read about for many reasons involving psychology and like therapy and stuff. But that's essentially what he's doing. Again, he's giving Amphinomus what Amphinomus has been giving to other people. He's meeting, is like he says, oh, that's your energy, I will meet that energy. And again, let's also remember he's very much doing a undercover mission. So he doesn't want to get caught. This is proving he is quite smart, but only Amphinomus would likely be someone who could potentially clock that. Regardless, it doesn't matter. It's like regardless, Amphinomus must die. Of course he must. All of these suitors must die. So it's such a great moment. It really shows you also the thing about Odysseus, this one of the best and biggest changes we've seen with Odysseus from like pre the underworld, post the underworld, is his ability to speak, his ability to convince and use his words. Now, he was always known for his thinking, for his cleverness, but this is beyond just cleverness. This kind of speak that he's doing is like he's leveled up and he's using a different set of tools. Something that we see, again, he is a different kind of hero. This kind of shit that he's doing here is so subtle. Like the Odysseus of before, the Odysseus whose Kleos is tied to his exploits at Troy, tied to his Metis and all of that, likely could not have been this subtle and been this good at what he's doing here. Like, he's good, but this is a different kind of good. And again, he's a different hero who's here. He's the guy who's tied to his Nostos, and this is the process of completing the Nostos. You're gonna have to route all these guys out of your house. Yeah, what is a snake to a wolf with divine intervention on his side? When all of Olympus is essentially backing you, which by this, I mean, Poseidon's still a little upset, but we know Poseidon's essentially just like going, I abstain my vote. But when Zeus on high is sending his favorite child and saying, let him at it, you're good. Hypothetically, even if any suitor somehow survived, escaped the slaughter, would the gods still punish them for their flagrant Xenia violation because the gods have given sanction to Odie? Very likely. Well, because the thing is that there are people who try to escape. Athena makes sure they can't. But if somehow, again, huge hypothetical, that happened, they wouldn't last. The confiding in my father and my brothers, that's calling out Amphinomus's reliance on groupthink and his privilege. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely calling out the groupthink and the reliance on privilege. Oh my god, I know, it's so subtle. The wordplay is so good. Now again, I can't speak to the Greek, but what he's doing here is so incredible, the way he's using words and language. Again, he's mirroring at Amphinomus, what Amphinomus does, but he takes it to a whole new level. And that's again because he's the Greek hero, right? So of course he's better at it than the guy who basically tries it on him. He's like, it doesn't mean Odysseus really doesn't want to spare Amphinomus. Yeah, as Mariana says, he doesn't, it has nothing really to do with Amphinomus as the person. He knows his father, out of respect to his father, he might not want to, but it kind of doesn't matter. And so it has nothing to do with how he feels about Amphinomus. It has to do with Amphinomus being the son of, Nisus of Dulichion, who he knows, he says, a righteous man and rich. He goes, I know, I've heard of your dad. Your dad's a nice guy. I would hate to take his son from him. And I wouldn't want to do that. But you know what? Circumstances are such that fuck you. But also, Athena's not going to allow it, really, is the big thing. Yeah, Odysseus accepts that truth. That, but actually, fuck you. Also, this time, it's personal. The Trojan War 2.0, but this time it's personal. But it shows ruthlessness. No, it does. But I think also it shows, that's Odysseus's ruthlessness. Yeah, as he goes, I don't want to upset your dad, but I'm gonna. Which, frankly, again, he has every right to. That's also the thing. It is ruthless, but it's still in line with what's going on in the world and the kind of the mores of the time, especially when we consider that he has divine backup sanctioning all of this. Yeah, which Georgia more, but this time Odysseus wants to be there. Ha! That's good. Odysseus is the divine punishment. I mean, when he gets his moment of Aristea, oh yes he is. Oh yes he is. The Slaughter of the Suitors is gonna be so good. It's so much fun, guys. Like, as an action lover, Homer does good action. Oh, no. Agnes, no. He is an asshole. I'm sorry, Agnes, I will put you down here. He is an asshole. If you cannot see how his behavior makes him absolutely an asshole, I'm actually deeply concerned. He's absolutely an asshole. Like, sieging a woman in her house is absolutely asshole behavior, and he has been doing that nonstop every day for 3 years. That is asshole behavior. Agnes, please. He is an asshole. A guilty asshole? Maybe. Maybe, and even that's a maybe. But he's an asshole. Yeah. That's baseline. They are all assholes. You can't escape that fact. He's a two-faced asshole. Yeah. Ooh. Oh, Sarah, I'm now curious. Anyway. With that, he poured out honey wine to the gods and drank deeply, then restored the cup to the young prince's hands. Amphinomus made his way back through the hall, his heart sick with anguish, shaking his head, fraught with grave forebodings. So he did clock what Odysseus is putting down. But not even so could he escape his fate. You're doomed. You've been here this whole time. Wait, was that an actual spray bottle? Yes, Agnes sent me an actual spray bottle. That's true. Abusers can feel guilty, and it doesn't mean they will not then weaponize that guilt. It's actually a pretty common tactic. Even then, Athena had bound him fast to death at the hands of Prince Telemachus and his spear. Now back he went to the seat that he'd left empty. So yeah, even if Amphinomus senses, fuck, I might be in trouble here, it does not matter. You have been so flagrantly, so extremely violating Xenia, being awful for 3 straight years. There is no way to be like, sorry, my bad, and run out of this. Because the gods are making sure of it. They are ensuring that everything is put to right here. Honestly determined. Again, this will take effort. You see how high this is? I'm in danger. No, the point here, I mean, he feels remorse. He leaves knowing he did wrong and he was called out. Yeah, and also, let's not even say, he's being called out by a guy he thinks is a beggar. Like, man, how shameful must it be that a guy who's a beggar, a vagrant, is shaming you to your face in the way that you would double talk to other people? Like, again, Odysseus mirrors at Amphinomus what Amphinomus has been doing to others, and he absolutely shuts him down and shames him. And that's Amphinomus being like, oh, fuck. But also, bro, it took that to make you feel even the slightest hint of, maybe I shouldn't be here? Bruh. Yeah, even if mortals don't enforce punishment, the gods will. Because this is so extreme and flagrant a violation. At this point, it has so beyond gone too far and for too long. Yeah, and forgiveness is not the pastime of the gods and the Greeks. It is absolutely true. And for this, we are long past the point of any chance of forgiveness. There is no out for anybody, nor should there be by this point. 3 years. 365 times 3, every day, all day. Yeah. We are past the point of no return, to quote Phantom of the Opera, but less sexy. And now the goddess Athena, with her glinting eyes, inspired Penelope, Icarius' daughter, wary, poised, to display herself to her suitors, fan their hearts, inflame them more, and make her even more esteemed by her husband and her son than she had been before. Essentially, she's going to show her presence, which we all know because they're all creepy. They're like, She's toying with us. It's like, okay, you freaks. Ha! When I come for you, and I still mind, I'll wear sandals so you hear my feet on the cobblestones and have time to pray and repent. Thank you for that quote. It's a good quote. Forcing a laugh, she called her maid, Eurynomé. My spirit longs, though it never did till now, to appear before my suitors. Loathe them as I do. I'd say a word to my son, too, for his own good, not to mix so much with that pernicious crowd, so glib with their friendly talk, but plotting wicked plots they'll hatch tomorrow. Which, again, Penelope, smartest character in the Odyssey, she knows exactly what they're about. Including Amphinomus. He speaks well, but as she says, glib with their friendly talk, but plotting wicked plots. She knows exactly what they're all about. She's under no illusions about who any of these guys are, which, again, she is. Ugh, Penelope is our legend. Well said, my child, the old woman answered. All to the point. Go to the boy and warn him now. Hold nothing back. But first, you should bathe yourself. Give a gloss to your face. Don't go down like that, your eyes dimmed, your cheeks streaked with tears. It makes things worse, this grieving on and on. Your son's now come of age. Your fondest prayer to the deathless gods to see him wear a beard. See, Agnes, he has a beard! He has a beard! For those who don't know, in the Discord, Agnes had not realized that Telemachus has a beard. And people had difficulty imagining that. It's like, no, the point is that he's got one! He has a beard! Penelope saves Telemachus from the groupthink that condemned Amphinomus. Brilliant, I know, Penelope, our girl! She's like, no, get him out of there. Uh-oh, mild rage bait. Wilson says they talk impressively, but their intentions are bad. That's it. That's all she... I've never seen someone take the poetry out of poetry as much as Wilson does. God, that's so lame. It's not nearly as good. God, it's so lame. Eurynomé, discreet, Penelope objected. Don't try to coax me, care for me as you do, to bathe myself, refresh my face with oils. Whatever glow I had died long ago. The gods of Olympus snuffed it out that day my husband sailed away in the hollow ships. But please, have Autonoe and Hippodamia come and support me in the hall. I'll never brave those men alone. I'd be too embarrassed. She's making porridge of the Odyssey and not even... Yeah, get out of the chat room, boy. They're incels. Penelope saying whatever glow I had died long ago. Girl, we all know you're gorgeous. Hush now. You are confirmed gorgeous. Text approved. You are gorgeous. Please. Poetry? No, only noetry for me. God. Now, as the old nurse bustled through the house to give the women orders, call them to the queen, the bright-eyed goddess thought of one more thing. She drifted a sound slumber over Icarius' daughter. Back she sank and slept. Her limbs fell limp and still, reclining on her couch. All the while Athena, luminous goddess, lavished immortal gifts on her to make her suitors lose themselves in wonder. The divine unguent first. She cleansed her cheeks, her brow, and fine eyes with ambrosia, smooth as the oils the goddess love applies, donning her crown of flowers whenever she joins the Graces' captivating dances. She made her taller, fuller in form to all men's eyes, her skin whiter than ivory freshly carved, and now, Athena's mission accomplished, because glow up also for Penelope, yes! Off the bright one went, as bare-armed maids came in from their own quarters, chattering all the way, and sleep released the queen. Poor thing, the only sleep she's getting is courtesy of Athena, which God speaks to the amount of stress she's under. She woke, touched her cheek with a hand, and mused, what a marvelous gentle sleep enfolding me in the midst of all my anguish. Now if only blessed Artemis sent me a death as gentle now, this instant. No more wasting away my life, my heart broken in longing for my husband. He had every strength rising over his countrymen, head and shoulders, which is admittedly funny when we know that Odysseus is confirmed short king. But damn, she loves her husband. And also, I mean, to be fair, compared to the suitors, yeah, they ain't got shit on Odysseus. I'd also be like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm married to Odysseus, and you want me to consider one of you? That's cute, pumpkin. It's cute. It's cute you think that. It's cute. Then, leaving her well-lit chamber, she descended, not alone. 2 of her women followed close behind. That radiant woman, when she reached her suitors, drawing her glistening veil across her cheeks, paused now where a column propped the sturdy roof, with one of her loyal handmaids stationed either side. Note, we're talking about the loyal ones. The suitors' knees went slack, their hearts dissolved in lust. All of them lifted prayers to lie beside her, share her bed. Ew. But turning toward her son, she warned, Telemachus, your sense of balance is not what it used to be. When you were a boy, you had much better judgment. Now that you've grown and reached your young prime, and any stranger, seeing how tall and handsome you are, would think you the son of some great man of wealth, now your sense of fairness seems to fail you. Consider the dreadful thing just done in our halls, how you let the stranger be so abused. Why, suppose our guest, sitting here in peace, here in our own house, were hauled and badly hurt by such cruel treatment. You'd be shamed, disgraced in all men's eyes. Your sense of balance. Did he go to like New Age here? I know. It's like, I know, you can just have, I imagine her with the wooden spoon, which is the kutala. It's what the Greek moms would use, the wooden spoon. She's just like, bitch, don't make me get that spoon. Just tapping it there. Mother. Telemachus paused, then answered, because, ooh, you know he wants to say something, but he can't. Remember, Telemachus in on the plan, Penelope not. It must kill him to not tell his mom what's going on. Yeah, boy, I raised you better than this. I cannot fault your anger at all this. It's true. My heart takes note of everything, feels it too, both the good and the bad. The boy you knew is gone, which is true. The whole thing of Telemachus has been this arc of maturation, of stepping into his own. We're talking about him being in his prime. He's becoming a man. Was sense of balance meant to be both physical and non-physical balance? Your sense of balance is not what it used to be. Yeah, I'm sure Mariana could tell you what literally it means in the Greek. But essentially, it's like your sense of discernment. Like, boy, where's your head at? Yeah, we're talking mostly mental acuity here. She's like, what the fuck you thinking, boy? Like, what are you thinking? Mind and thought, yeah. Yeah, this is absolutely I raised you better than this. What the fuck am I hearing about some dude getting a stool thrown at him? What the fuck? Yeah, Telemachus keeping the secret is honestly insane because we know how desperately he wants the reunion of his parents, but he's got to keep this under wraps. Was Penelope more careful with trusting her maids after one of them sold her out? So there are actually 12 disloyal maids. Melantho is the infamous one who actually sells her out to the suitors. The others are all kind of like slipping information to the suitors and sleeping with them. But she's, I would say likely extremely more careful with what she would tell other people. She has very few people that she can trust. And this also emphasizes the amount of anxiety and pressure that would be on her because who does she trust in her household now? Right? Since it's proven that members of the a dolos, a slave, a maid would turn against her. She knows there's others that are doing it. So it's like, oh shit, who do I trust? So she's noticed how a lot of her very loyal ones are older. It's the people who really knew Odysseus and Odysseus's family and who are older and who are therefore, between, what did she say her name was? Because it's not, we have Eurycleia, but Eurynome, these are older women. The younger ones are not doing so great. The contemplative mind and the reasoning mind, yeah. Can Penelope dismiss maids? Would Odysseus have to dismiss them? I think it would be down to Odysseus because and here's why. because these maids, they are doulos, they are essentially a slave. They are Odysseus's property, right? They're not hers. She doesn't own anything. She's technically also her husband's property, essentially. This is that kind of age. So she would not have the power to dismiss them. That would have to come from Odysseus. It's both how Telemachus perceives the world and reasons about it and how he acts upon his thoughts. What did Odysseus do with the servants? I'm not going to tell you because we will find out. Wait for the slaughter. The slaughter will tell you all you need to know. Could it be the older ones were just less likely to be swooned at by the suitors? I mean, yeah, they are less likely, but also they're the ones who really have been there the longest. If you are that old and you're still with the family, you've stayed with the family. You were likely bargained off to the family at a younger age. You also likely, again, knew Odysseus, you knew Laertes, you knew Anticlea, you knew the family, you stay loyal. Those who really knew the family are the ones who are staying loyal. So it does make sense. It's the older ones, or the characters like Eumaeus, and there's like another herdsman who we meet and some others. But how can I plan my world in a sane, thoughtful way? These men drive me mad, hedging me round right and left, plotting their lethal plots, and no one takes my side. Which, I mean, yeah, so what we're getting, this is a great conversation. I know I'm interrupting it a lot. This conversation between Penelope and Telemachus is great. It's actually really great because, I mean, you know, he's 20, but he's totally right in saying, like, how am I supposed to be sane when the world is insane? Like, he's trying really hard. He's been trying before then, he's trying even now. Also, even now, he's trying while going insane, knowing the fact that his dad is right there. He's right there, and he can't say anything. And Penelope is being a good mom and a good ruler, and she's like, boy, I raised you better than this. How can you let this shit happen? And he's like, I'm trying. I'm really, like, I am trying, and I can't tell you why I'm letting this happen, because he probably would normally not let this happen in this way. But again, he's in on the plan that this is his dad, and he can't say anything. This poor kid is going insane. It's a world gone mad for him. Puns intended. Come on, uppies. Yeah. Yeah, I hear Peg now. Yes. Hi. What would you, what? Oh, you want to go around to the other side? You want the other side? Oh, okay. Yeah? That's what you want? Yeah, thank you. You gonna relax now? There we go, little baby. Still, this battle between the stranger and Aeros hardly went as the suitors might have hoped. The stranger beat him down. If only Father Zeus, Athena, and Lord Apollo, these gallants now this moment here at our house, were battered senseless, head lolling, knees unstrung, some sprawled out in the courtyard, some sprawled outside, slumped like Eros down at the front gates now, whipped, his head rolling like some drunk. He can't stand up on his feet and stagger home. Whatever home he's got, the man's demolished. Because that is gonna happen. Ain't nobody staggering home from this. Would Telemachus' experience with the suitors make Telemachus finding a wife difficult because he's never seen good wooing just the suitor? Likely not, because he recognizes their efforts are wrong. And by this point also, again, he's gone to speak with Nestor and Menelaus. He's been speaking with these proper kings, very proper kings. And he's also then, now that his father is home, the father would do this. And also the idea of wooing somebody, so really more you kind of have to woo the father. You don't actually really woo the person. Now, Helen is a very big exception. They were all trying to woo Helen because she actually got to make the choice of who she married. This is extremely rare. Normally, you essentially woo their dad, right? Because the whole idea of marriage was the woman was passing from the protection, essentially being the property of her father, to being under the protection and being the property of her husband. It was much more kind of a business deal between the husband and the father-in-law. So he absolutely recognizes this behavior is bad, and now he's gotten, so he would know, don't do this, but now he's gotten good examples from Nestor and Menelaus and all these people of how do you behave with other people properly. right? And now Odysseus is home and that can happen. But he shouldn't have difficulty because he's gotten good examples. The issue was always just that he recognizes don't do this, but then what do you do instead? Now he's gotten good examples of it. Yeah, and also PC Stratis can wingman him. Which is funny. But that is a good question. So Penelope and her son exchanged their hopes. God, they're sitting there going, God, if only we could get rid of these fuckers and they could never come back. I love that they're exchanging their hopes in the vein of fuck these guys. As Eurymachus stepped in to praise the queen. All right, Eurymachus. Wouldn't it be easier to find a wife since Odysseus is his dad? Yes, but only once the kingdom has been put to right. He is a noble. He's absolutely going to be able to make a reasonably good match. But let's remember that Ithaka is not that powerful compared to the other kingdoms, if we will, of Greece. They really are. I jokingly call them the backwoods, but they're not that big a deal compared to Argos and Sparta and at this point Mycenae. Though obviously Mycenae will diminish in power and such later, or the like. But the fact that he is essentially noble, he is royal, he's the son of a hero, yes, that gives him a good leg up. But right now, he's not in a super great position, mostly because who's in charge? We haven't declared Odysseus dead, so what's the sitch on your inheritance and what's going on? So once that all gets set to right, yeah, it's gonna be a lot easier. Yeah, it's true. Ithaca really only is famous in our time because of something like the Odyssey, which is why it's so amusing almost how grand people think it was in terms of the context of myth. I'm it really wasn't that important. They were not that big of a deal. They really weren't. And again, even Odysseus. I fear Wilson's next feat here. Oh God. Oh God. Oh no. What? Oh no. Just out of frame is killing me. I got it. Oh, is Peg just out of frame? Just the ears? Yeah. Oh, okay. We gotta do Eurymachus. Slimy git. Okay. Snake oil salesman. I can do it. Ah, daughter of Icarius, wise Penelope. Of all the princes in Ionia, if all the princes in Ionian Argos saw you now, what a troop of suitors would banquet in your halls tomorrow at sunrise. You surpass all women in beauty and build, refined and steady mind. Blech. I know, yeah, you can feel the snake oil coming off him. So I do want to make a note on it. Not the New England rich. Oh yeah, that's exactly who he is. You know exactly who he is. So that note where he says all the people of Ionian Argos. So what do we mean by, why are we noting them as Ionian Argos, right? So that adjective usually is designating Greek settlements on the Aegean Islands and also on kind of that bit of the western coast of Turkey, whose inhabitants are speaking a very specific dialect of Greek that's known as Ionian Greek. I think I mentioned way back in book 1, ancient Greek, billions of dialects, tons of dialects, and they do have some serious differences between them, which is pretty wild. From what I understand, again, I don't speak or know modern or ancient Greek, but from what I understand, tons of dialects, and they can really be different from each other in a way that's quite annoying at times, because even the Odyssey was written in a dialect of a dialect. It gets called Homeric Greek, which is a dialect, I think actually of Ionian Greek, but I could be going back to my book 1 notes. Where are my book 1 notes? So I actually wrote down Homeric Greek. I didn't even answer my own question. I thought I had. Somebody can tell me what, for those who know, what exactly, which dialect this is essentially a dialect of. So Argos, we know the city of Argos, the city-state of Argos, is in the Peloponnese. So it's not really a part of what would normally be those Ionian settlements. However, there's archaeologically a good evidence to suggest there was an Ionian presence there in very, very, very early times. Hence, Homer said, You're dwelling into this rabbit hole? Oh, this connection is a conjecture. The whole expression is obscure. Ionian, I believe. Yes, the dialect. Yeah. Yeah, this rabbit hole. From what I understand, like, why does he call them Ionian? I think it has to do with, isn't there some archaeological evidence that there was some sort of Ionian, like, the Ionian dialect speaking presence there, hence use the adjective. But this is, again, conjecture. This is conjecture, what I'm saying here, but it's like, in case anybody's wondering why the Ionian, this is what, again, it's, as Mariana's noting, there is debate among people, but it is conjecture that that's why, but we're not entirely certain. But yes, there is also a point that yes, Homeric Greek is a dialect of Ionian Greek, which is a dialect of ancient Greek. Dialect of a dialect. I'm glad you all like the voice acting. It's a fun thing for me to do. I like doing the voice acting. It makes me laugh. Wilson just says, if all the Greeks could see you now. I'm still mad about the lack of Cowboy Helios. I know, I'm sorry. Dialectception. Yes, very dialectception. Okay, where are we? Oh no, Eurymachus. Wise Penelope demurred. Whatever form and feature I had, what praise I'd won. The deathless gods destroyed that day the Achaeans sailed away to Troy, my husband in their ships, Odysseus. If he could return to tend my life, the renown I had would only grow in glory. Now, my life is torment. As in, boy, get the fuck out my face. Look at the griefs some god has loosed against me. I'll never forget the day he left this land of ours. He caught my right hand by the wrist and said gently, Dear woman, I doubt that every Achaean under arms will make it home from Troy, all safe and sound. The Trojans, they say, are fine soldiers too, hurling javelins, shooting flights of arrows, charioteers who can turn the tide like that. When the great leveler, war, brings on some deadlock. But I cannot tell if the gods will sail me home again, or if I'll go down out there on the fields of Troy. But all things here must rest in your control. Watch over my father and mother in the palace, just as now, or perhaps a little more, when I am far from home. But once you see the beard on the boy's cheek, you wed the man you like, and leave your house behind. Oof. Oof. But again, part of the thing, when you see the beard on the boy's cheek, when you see that he has become a man and he can take control, if I'm not back, wed who you like and leave. That is part of why Odysseus' greatest fear is that he's going to come home and find that she's gone. It's been one of his biggest fears, is that she's going to be gone. I know the beard reference. So my husband advised me then. Now it all comes true. A night will come when a hateful marriage falls my lot. This cursed life of mine. Zeus has torn away my joy, but there's something else that mortifies me now. Your way is a far cry from the time-honored way of suitors locked in rivalry, striving to win some noble woman, a wealthy man's daughter. Which, let's be fair, she absolutely witnessed because her half-cousin, or sort of cousin, if you will, is Helen. She watched that all happen. She's like, bitch, you think I don't know how this is supposed to go? I watched people vie for Helen. Shoo, little boy. I mean, truly, truly. They bring in their own calves and lambs to feast the friends of the bride-to-be, yes, and shower her with gleaming gifts as well. They don't devour the woman's goods scot-free. Sit down, son. Oh, read him. Get him, Penelope. Read him for filth. Oh, shit, that is a sit down, son. And that is absolutely a boy, you don't get out of my face. I love when Penelope just... Don't you love it when she just... It's so satisfying. It's so good. Staunch Odysseus glowed with joy. Oh, I guess Telemachus doesn't need pissy stuff. It's his mom. I mean, honestly, he does have his mom. Can you imagine? Penelope would be the greatest wing woman if she honestly thought that was what it... I want Penelope on my team. Are you kidding? Y'all didn't even buy me dinner. Y'all ate it. Wonder why. The suitors aren't even scraps. They're below that. It's so true. That's what she's saying. She goes, you're nothing. You're less than nothing. You're offensive. That's offensive. Staunch Odysseus glowed with joy to hear all this. Can you imagine how he feels hearing this? Oh my God. For Odysseus, that's got to be like such a huge weight off his shoulders, but also just be like, honey, I'm home and I can't tell you yet. Yeah, damn, if I wasn't married to this woman, I would try to marry her. His wife's trickery luring gifts from her suitors now, enchanting their hearts with suave, seductive words, but all the while with something else in mind. Basically, pay me back for the shit you've been stealing, bitch. Gifts. Eupeithes' son, Antinous, took her point at once. Daughter of Icarius, sensible Penelope, whatever gifts your suitors would like to bring, accept them. How ungracious to turn those gifts away. We won't go back to our own estates or anywhere else till you have wed the man you find the best. If I could, I would smack this man. The whole grain gluten-free audacity of this bitch. But Odysseus literally is having the moment of, God, my wife is so hot. She's so smart. She's so hot. I mean, she's literally conning them out of shit now, which, to be fair, they've been eating her out of house and home for 3 years. Least you could do is give her a gift. Like, are you fucking kidding? Like, you guys rolled up and didn't even bring gifts? This is just making them look even worse. The audacity. The unbridled audacity of these bitches. Did this lion, the witch, audacity, this bitch just tell her I will pay after being wed and not before? Yeah, he pretty much says, we'll bring gifts. But, like, you gotta pick someone. It's like, that is not how this works. Now, to be fair, essentially she is partially saying, what's the bride price? Because we talked about the bride price, right? It's essentially like a reverse dowry. Like, what is the guy bringing to the table here? She's like, y'all have just been eating me on a house and home, so what the fuck do you have? I mean, we talked about this because we talked about Eurylochus, how it is said he paid a good bride price to marry Ctemene, right? She's like, you guys are not doing this right. What the fuck is wrong with you? Which I like... I know, the whole green gluten. Sorry, that's a reference if you guys know the YouTuber Swoop, who I love watching her stuff. Oh my God, I literally, like, anytime she drops a new video, whether it's on Swoop or Swoop 2, I am, like, sat, ready to go. She has this phrase, the whole grain gluten-free audacity, and I'm just like, it has become part of my lexicon. Yeah, this isn't Storage Wars. You tell me what you have to bring now and not after. How much are you saying I'm worth? I love her. She's so... Penelope knows how to play this room. Look, again, I always say smartest character in the Odyssey. She's so fucking clever, it's stupid. You marry me? Odysseus, we're already married, sweetie. Yeah. She's so fucking clever. That's why she's loved by Athena as well. So he proposed, and all the rest agreed. Each suitor sent a page to go and get a gift. Antinous' man brought in a grand, resplendent robe, stiff with embroidery, clasped with 12 gold brooches, long pins that clipped into sheathing loops with ease. Eurymachus' man brought in a necklace richly wrought, gilded, strung with amber and glowing like the sun. Eurydamas' two-man came with a pair of earrings, mulberry clusters dangling in triple drops, with a glint to catch the heart. From the halls of Lord Pisander, Polyctor's son, a servant brought a choker, a fine, gleaming treasure. And so each suitor in turn laid on a handsome gift. Then the noble queen withdrew to her upper room, her file of waiting ladies close behind her, bearing the gorgeous presents in their arms. Thanks for the gifts. Peace out. I'm like, fucking love her. I just love Penelope so much. It's ridiculous how awesome she is. Yeah, we would say extensive list, but honestly, that's a pretty short list for Homer. Why do I get the impression these things they're giving was already her stuff? Likely it wasn't. I mean, looting her in this way, no, that would be very different. Thank you, Shiko. And she goes with the bounty. Icon behavior. Oh yeah. No, this is stuff that would have come from their families. So this is absolutely not stuff that was already hers. That would be extremely untoward, and she would notice and she would have clapped the shit out of it. But she goes, thank you, and walks away. What an icon. Look, there's a reason we love Penelope. So many. Now the suitors turned to dance and song, to the lovely beat and sway, waiting for dusk to come upon them there, and the dark night came upon them lost in pleasure. They rushed to set up 3 braziers along the walls to give them light, piled them high with kindling, sere, well seasoned, just split with an axe, and mixed in chips to keep the torches flaring. The maids, Penelope asking for an entry fee at this point. I mean, honestly, if I'm her, entry fee. What do you have? It's like, if you guys have ever seen the TikToks that make fun of those like really snooty Pilates people who are like, you can't come in unless you have like a Versace bag or something. That's what she's doing. She's like, what do you have? Coach, do better next time. Like, and she's like, what is this? Last season Gucci? No. Like, that's what I want Penelope to do. Do you think that Penelope would have more suitors in modern times? I mean, in modern times, she'd get to choose who she wants. Like, but look, it's hard to say in modern day because this kind of thing, it would be extremely archaic. Again, I know there are different cultures and different situations, but she would likely be able to choose whoever the fuck she wanted, I would say. Like, in modern times, she'd be able to get a restraining order. Yeah, that is also true. In modern times, she'd be getting restraining orders and filing police reports. But, yeah, modern times, she's gorgeous, she's smart, she's clever. This woman would be running the fucking world. Are you kidding? The maids of Odysseus, steady man, took turns to keep the fires up, but the king himself, dear to the gods and cunning to the core, gave them orders brusquely. Maids of Odysseus, your master gone so long. Quick now, off you go to the room with your queen and mistress waits. Sit with her there and try to lift her spirits, combing wool in your hands or spinning yarn. But I will trim the torches for all her suitors, even if they would like to revel on till morning. Mounts her throne. They'll never wear me down. I've a name for lasting out the worst. Yeah, go pimp my girl, ladies. It's also saying, like, go be with your queen. Like, yeah, you have to do this, but he's also kind of giving them this is a really good way for him to litmus test these maids. Which is gonna work, because Melantho's about to open her fucking mouth. But he's kind of doing a litmus test, because here's some servants he's getting the chance to speak with directly, so he's going to litmus test them. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely a litmus test. And again, Melantho about to open her fucking mouth. At this, the women burst into laughter, glancing back and forth, flushed with beauty. This bitch, I know. Melantho mocked him shamelessly. Dolius was her father, but Penelope brought her up. She treated her like her own child and gave her toys to cheer her heart. But despite that, Melantho is a bitch. Her heart felt nothing for all her mistress's anguish now. She was Eurymachus' lover, always slept with him. She was the one who mocked her king and taunted. Cock of the walk, did someone beat your brains out? Why not go bed down at the blacksmith's cozy forge? Or a public place where tramps collect? Why here? Blithering on non-stop, bold as brass in the face of all these lords. No fear in your heart? Why don't those two just elope? Agnes, she's a doulos, and Eurymachus is a lord. He's not aiming to marry down. He would absolutely keep her as, like, a mistress, maybe, essentially. But he's not gonna marry her. And yeah, because he wants to marry either equal or up. He's not gonna marry a doulos. Absolutely not. No fear in your heart? Wine's got to your wits? Or do you always play the fool and babble nonsense? Lost your head, have you, because you drubbed that hobo Iris? You wait, a better man than Iris will take you on. He'll box both sides of your skull with heavy fists and cart you from the palace gushing blood. You wait, you bitch. The hardened veteran flashed a killing look. Finally, someone said it. I'll go straight to the prince with your foul talk. The prince will chop you to pieces here and now. Which, would Odysseus need to sell her to him for him to keep her as a mistress? Kind of, essentially, yeah. Yeah, he would have to sell her over, basically, as well. But the whole point is that Eurymachus wants to take over this household. He would be basically saying, is she going to come with Penelope? Is she part of the package deal? I mean, that's if he cared enough. We don't really know if Eurymachus cares enough. He sleeps with her, yeah, but does he actually emotionally give a shit? Probably not. It's Melanthos. Mariana, I'm confused by the question. Oh, it's Melanthos, so. Accent, Melanthos. So should it be Melanthos as opposed to Melanthos, the way that I'm saying it very quickly? Melanthos? Accent on So is it Melanthus? There's an accent on the O. Does that change how that's pronounced? See, Does that accent change the pronunciation? I'm gonna actually wonder what. So there is actually a pronouncing glossary back here. I wonder what Fagel says about Melanthus, Melantho. It just says Melantho. It doesn't really give me emphasis on syllables. So Melanthos. Okay, I will try to remember that, but no guarantees. But also, I love the fact that Odysseus just called her out as a bitch. Because frankly, it's what we were all thinking. I don't think there's Oh god, we're getting into linguistics. I'm out. Peg purrs intensify. So Melanthos. Okay, I will try to remember this. But also, can you imagine this guy comes up, this old little beggar, but then also you've likely seen him trounce Iris because she mentions it, and then he's just like, you fucking bitch. Like, I will fucking wed you. At that point, I'm skedaddling out too, but also, girl. This is why I'm convinced if ever I were to do a cover of Hold Them Down from the perspective of a woman, I want it to be Melanthos singing it, and I would change some lines, and she'd be like talking to the suitors and egging them on. Sorry, this is random thought that has come to my head. I will have to try to save this for post-book club. What line are we at? We are at 381, 2, 3, like 384-ish? Ish? Yes. I'll talk about that post-book club because I can tell you what my brain was ruminating on recently. His fury sent the women fluttering off, scattering down the hall with panic shaking every limb. They knew he spoke the truth. But he took up his post by the flaring braziers, tending the fires closely, looking after them all, though the heart inside him stirred with other things. Ranging ahead now to all that must be done. He's looking out over those suitors going, oh, you're all dead men by tomorrow. He's also now done his litmus test on the maids, and he knows exactly who's like, you ain't making it out alive. He goes, okay, you're all laughing, you're a rude bitch. Yeah, okay. I'm getting an even better picture of what's been going on here, because these are his wife's maids. I really don't know, but there isn't an Italian as well. So for it to be melantro, it would have to come from the Greek, which is melantro. Yeah. Someone properly freaked. But yeah, so the idea, like, him doing this litmus test, he's getting, I mean, can you imagine how disheartening that would be for Odysseus to realize, like, here's Melantho. His wife basically treated her like a child, one of her own children, raised her, gave her toys, treated her so well, and this is how she acts. That's disheartening, and it gives him a better glimpse at the stresses his wife has been under, what the real state of what's been going on here. He's seeing, like, how have these suitors been getting away with this? Oh, because we have fucking snakes like this. Like, his flabbers are a bit gasted at that kind of behavior. Wilson calls her, you little dog. Girl, please let him swear, because Melantho is another guy altogether, king of Athens, but never mind. Yeah, sadly, the pronunciation in the back doesn't really give, the pronunciation guide doesn't give, like, accents or anything, really. No, it doesn't. Like, nothing to really help you out with that, so. I mean, the most he gives is, like, he'll give phonetic equivalents, but, eh. Oh, stress is indicated by an apostrophe after the stressed syllable. Okay, so what does he actually say for what is the stressed syllable here? See, he puts the stressor after the lan, melanto. Interesting. Interesting. Anyway. I mean, poor Odysseus, that's got to be so disheartening to see that kind of thing happen. Linguistics rabbit hole. Kinda. I had not realized it did actually show stressors, because at first I was like, I don't see stressors on any of these, but he was using a different diacritic mark. But Athena had no mind to let the brazen suitors hold back now from their heart-rending insults. She meant to make the anguish cut still deeper into the core of Laertes' son, Odysseus. Well, he calls her Kuon, which is dog. Well, bitch is the word for a female dog. So calling her bitch is actually perfectly appropriate. Because technically Peg is a bitch. Technically. Bitch just works so much better, though, for the amount of venom that's in it, because we can also see it as an insult, but it's technically accurate to the translation. She's a female dog. Bye, Sarah. If not, I'll see you all just. I was going to say, I'm excited for whatever you have to say if you don't make it back for the end. I can't wait to see what you put in the Discord. Yeah, little dog is meh. Female, like, bitch just works better. And I'm sure Wilson would say something about, like, oh, it's sexist. I'm like, he's calling her a dog. I'm not even. It is endearing, almost. Yeah, little dog doesn't sound like it misses the tone of what we're hearing here. Anyway, Polybus's son Eurymachus launched in first, baiting the king to give his friends a laugh. Listen to me, you lords who court our noble queen. I simply have to say what's on my mind. Look, surely the gods have fetched this beggar here to Odysseus' house. At least our torchlight seems to come from the sheen of the man's own head. There's not a hair on his bald pate, not a wisp. Oh man, we made him bald. Bye, Sarah. Then he wheeled on Odysseus, raider of cities, our favorite epithet, Poliportos. Stranger, how would you like to work for me if I took you on? I'd give you decent wages, picking the stones to lay a tight, dry wall, or planting tall trees on the edge of my estate. I'd give you rations to last you year-round, clothes for your body, sandals for your feet. Oh, no, you've learned your lazy ways too well. You've got no itch to stick to good, hard work. You'd rather go scrounging round to the countryside, begging for crusts to stuff your greedy gut. Blech. This is my reaction to Eurymachus every time. Like, oh, shut up. Ah, Eurymachus. Odysseus, master of many exploits, answered firmly. If only the two of us could go man to man in the labors of the field. In the late spring, when the long days come round out in the meadow, I swinging a well-curved scythe, and you swinging yours, we'd test our strength for work, fasting right till dusk with lots of hay to mow. I mentioned this in Discord. Does raider of cities mean that Odysseus was a pirate? He had that epithet pre-Troy. Right. Kind of. But not in the sense that we think of pirates as criminals. City raiding, I did explain this a bit in the Discord, was extremely common. I mean, it's sort of the norm for Greek heroes to just raid all the time. It was very common. In fact, it's even mentioned in the introduction here. This kind of raiding, when you landed on an unknown coast, was extremely common. It's why we see Ismaros go down the way that it does, which, like, the problem with Ismaros is not that they raided, is that they lollygagged and were hanging around when they should have left after raiding. So, yeah, he's kind of a pirate, but it doesn't make him a criminal. So that's the difficulty with pirates, because pirates and piracy implies that you're doing something essentially illegal or against, whatever country that you're in, when essentially that's not what they're doing. It was a very common practice. It was kind of like normalized. And especially, again, remembering on my behalf, because she put on the same plane of existence Eurymachus and Eurylochus. How dare you? No. Eurylochus is a problem with a capital P, but he ain't fucking Eurymachus. No. Right, so not really piracy in the modern sense, because that would also imply that there's a dominating sea power that's essentially in control of this area, but there's not in the Bronze Age. Not at all. You are welcome, Mariana. So, yeah, so to pirates, sure, that's the word we can use, but doesn't really have the same connotation the way that we think about it. If that makes sense. Hopefully that made sense. So yeah, he would be raiding pre-Troy. He raids post-Troy. In fact, actually all the Greeks raid pre-Troy. I mean, the whole thing of how they get Briseis is they rolled up to her kingdom that, she's a citizen in, and they raided it, and they just took it over. Like, again, very common practice among Greek heroes. In fact, actually, raider is probably the better word. That's why they say raider of cities as opposed to like a pirate. Even additionally, how technically in the Telegony, how Odysseus is killed by Telegonus or Telegonus is that he rolls up to Ithaca and he doesn't realize he's on Ithaca and he starts raiding because it's just the common thing they did. And Odysseus and Telemachus come and defend essentially their island. So yeah. They did, although the Vikings then eventually also developed a system where they were essentially, well, actually, to be fair, were bribing people. Basically, hey, we won't raid you if you pay us. But yeah, closer to the raiding spectrum to something like the Vikings than to like pirates the way we're probably thinking of them, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's like me. I know. Or give us a team of oxen to drive, purebreds, hulking, ruddy beasts, both lusty with fodder, paired for age and pulling power that never flags, with 4 acres to work, the loam churning under the plow. You'd see what a straight, unbroken furrow I could cut you then. which we do know, Odysseus would have absolutely helped to participate in this kind of physical labor. This was actually very common among the kings. Remember, these are agricultural societies predominantly. I mean, in fact, how Odysseus tried to make people think he was crazy was in, like, running the plow backwards and, like, sowing fields with salt and trying to sow the beach. Like, he absolutely knew how to run a plow. These guys would all absolutely know how to run a plow. This kind of physical labor was extremely common. And especially in a place like Ithaca, which again is not like, it ain't Sparta, right? We're not living at Sparta. So he would have been even more likely involved in this kind of farming agricultural work. Yes, even the kings. The kings, the lords, all of them would absolutely be partaking in the physical labor. Absolutely. Keeps them fit, and because they depend upon harvests and everything else. So yeah, absolutely, the kings would have experience in sowing fields and doing that kind of physical labor. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And again, especially on a place like Ithaca, which is like kind of the backwoods. Raise the hand. Did somebody have a question? Yeah, okay. Han Solo. Great name, 3238. Yeah, do please use the emoji so I can see your question, otherwise it just gets lost in the chatter. On the subject of boats, how was everybody able to make it to Troy so fast, but it took them years to get back? Did it have something to do with Agamemnon sacrificing his daughter? Everybody was getting back from Troy at different times. Now, in order to go to Troy, they were all meeting at like a certain point and then heading out as one big cadre. So they were all kind of on the same schedule to get to Troy. We don't actually know, and like, yeah, it took a little less time, sort of, but it still took time. So you got to mobilize everybody, then they all got to get to their meeting point, and then once you get to your meeting point, you're all sailing off again on the same schedule. Versus coming back, everybody was leaving at different times, and they're all going kind of slightly different directions to a degree because they're getting home. Not everybody lives in the same place. Some people will get back faster, some people will take longer. Some people could be like Menelaus and they're going on a second honeymoon in Egypt, you know. Nestor, I do think, did get home pretty quick. As he notes, but even he says it was a pretty difficult journey to get back. They had bad weather, bad winds, they were getting knocked about a bit. And Nestor would have had a bit of a long way to go because he's kind of got to hook around Greece essentially to get home. So how many years of war was just to travel then? Geez. But yeah, so part of it is like when you're all moving together as a single force, and then leaving, everybody's on a different schedule. Everybody's leaving at different times. Everybody's got, some people have further to go, some people don't have further to go. Like, that's really the difference. Who got home the fastest? That's a good question, actually. I was gonna say Nestor, but I'm not actually sure. Let's actually see if there's an answer to that. I don't actually know. Is there an answer? Oh. I think it was Nestor. I mean, at least of the ones we know, really, I think it was Nestor, because everybody else. So, yeah, I do think it is actually Nestor. At least of the ones we know. He had a little bit of difficulty, but I think he got home the fastest. Well, actually, no. We know he's the one with the least problems. It is true. It's not Diomedes. We know that because he goes off on like other adventures after he leaves Troy. So we do know it's not Diomedes. Because he like does other shit before going back home. Diomedes can't resist a military campaign anywhere, so he's off doing other shit. But it does seem that it was Nestor. He's the one with the least problems. It is true. Like, of all the guys who are returning home with like the notable heroes, he is kind of the one with the least problems. So Nestor got home first. He's like, man, I've been blessed to survive, get home, live a good life. Like, yeah. So it does seem it was Nestor. Next would have probably been, I mean, of the big players who get mentioned in the Odyssey, which would be Nestor, Agamemnon, Menelaus, and Odysseus. Between like those four, it would be Nestor. Next would then be Agamemnon, who is very swiftly killed. And then next would be Menelaus because he finds out when he gets home. And then last would be Odysseus. maybe Idomeneus? True, I mean, Idomeneus had a likely shorter route, because he's just going south to Crete. But from what we know, it does seem to have been Nestor. But Nestor might have left before Idomeneus, too, because remember, everybody's leaving at different times. He faced other problems, though. Yeah, Idomeneus had his own problems. But I think, again, there's no really accurate answer. Can we say that Agamemnon has fulfilled his nostos? Yes, he returned home. Yeah, he returned home. He absolutely fulfilled his nostos. He returned home. He was then just killed afterwards. So, yeah, he completed his nostos. He came home. He was welcomed. And then his wife murdered him and also murdered Cassandra, which she kind of didn't need to do, but she did anyway, which is frankly rude. So, yes, he did complete his nostos. I mean, the only ones who set out on a nostos and did not complete it would be someone like Oilean Ajax the Lesser, because he dies on the way home. Rightfully so, the little shit. Was Idomeneus a Minoan, or was he king of the Greek takeover? The Minoan Okay, so by this point, I don't think he would be considered a Minoan specifically. Because the sort of downfall, if you will, of the Minoan civilization had sort of already happened. But Minoan bleeds into Mycenaean a bit. I think he just gets considered a Cretan. He's the grandson of Minos, right? I think he's like the grandson sounds about right. So I guess, he kind of would be considered a Minoan still, given he is a grandson of Minos. Cassandra literally. How did his murder affect Agamemnon's Cleo, since it was an underhanded murder? It doesn't necessarily affect Agamemnon's Cleos, because we still sing the stories of Agamemnon, and he led the fleets out to Troy. We hate Ajax the Lesser, it's true. But, so it doesn't really affect Agamemnon's Cleos, because he is remembered for all of his deeds. Is he also remembered for his murder? Yes, which is sad, but that reflects worse on Clytemnestra and Aegisthus, and then and sort of is, again, part of that whole of the clusterfuck Real Housewives of Atreus problem. That is the House of Atreus. And then is continuing on in Orestes stepping up and essentially ending it once and for all, but goes through his own struggles doing it. There's one thing I don't understand. I thought the gods didn't want human sacrifices, at least not in Greek mythology, so why did Agamemnon sacrifice his daughter? Good question. I think we've talked about this before, but it is interesting. So what are the circumstances that lead to this happening? Let's set the stage. They are traveling on their way to Troy, and I believe it is a sacred, hind or something, a hind that is, sacred to Artemis is killed while they are hunting for food, and she gets pissed. And short story, he fucked up with Demetra. The two. And so these terrible winds happen such that they really can't sail out, and they gotta get to Troy. And so there's if you have read the play Agamemnon, which is the first in the Oresteia, they talk about this omen of the eagles. Artemis, sorry, Latin override. Totally fair. Yeah, he fucked up with Artemis really badly. So they get this omen, what's called the omen of the eagles. It's this very famous moment, you hear about it in Agamemnon, and it gets interpreted, and they interpret it as you need to you took something that was dear and sacred to Artemis, so must you sacrifice something back, right? Yeah, basically they pulled a Eurylochus. But in this case, it seems they didn't know. But again, it doesn't matter whether or not you do or don't know, because they're hunting in general. What Eurylochus does is extremely, purposeful. He knows what he's doing. Very much so. In the case of the other Greeks, it seems they was dear to Artemis mad, really? Yeah, okay. Look, give me my moment, Mariana. No. It was a hind that was sacred to Artemis, and it's you took something from me, I want something from you. It's very simply kind of what's happening. And this is what he gets told when this omen gets interpreted. Oh, she's demanding a sacrifice. So they bring in his daughter. Now, here's the interesting thing. You can make an argument, was the omen interpreted correctly? I actually once wrote a paper making an argument of, was the omen interpreted correctly? I did this where I was talking about the line, I was calling it the Tantalaian line. And was dear to Artemis. I know, bad puns. I'm sorry. Give me my moment. I make bad puns. I don't pun like Homer, but every now and then. And so some versions, Artemis actually spirits her away essentially right before and puts essentially a deer or something in her place. In other versions, Iphigenia is killed. She is actually killed. Now, were the gods demanding human sacrifice? This is not like a prophecy where we've seen in Greek mythology, the prophecies are pretty specific. This boy is going to murder his father and marry his mother. This boy is going to be the downfall of Troy. That's an omen. That's a prophecy. They're pretty specific. You go to an oracle and they will tell you. Omens are like, well, these two eagles swooped down towards Telemachus towards the right. People interpret them. We saw this in book 2 of the Odyssey where the same omen of eagles happens. One dude says, oh, this is saying Zeus is on the side of Telemachus, but the dude from the Suitors is like, actually, I think you're full of shit, old man, and it means XYZ. Omens are left to human interpretation. And you could make an argument, I think, that interpretation might have been wrong. Were the gods demanding a human sacrifice? Probably, maybe not. Arguably, I would say probably not. Demanding a sacrifice, yes, but the fact that he rolled up with his own daughter, I mean, that's horrifying. And also, I mean, it's a continuance of the darkness that is the line of House of Atreus, because we've seen fathers indiscriminately murdering their children or murdering relatives of the next generation throughout that bloodline. It's something that happens time and time and time again. Now, it's also just, we don't want human sacrifice, don't serve it to us to eat. Because if you're thinking of something like, say, Tantalus and Pelops, it was even worse that Tantalus served Pelops as food to the gods. Now, we are not serving Iphigenia as food to the gods. But this is also what ultimately is, at least according to, say, Aeschylus, going to set up Clytemnestra's rage towards Agamemnon, was that you did this to our child. Fuck you. Like, kind of thing. House of Atreus, yeah, always gonna House of Atreus. So, I mean, that's a really good question. It gets into, like, the complicated talk, and also there are different versions of what happens to her in the end. But I think it comes down to the question of you're looking at omens versus prophecies. Oracles are instructions. Now, yeah, true, they might be obscure instructions to a degree, but there's not much interpretation over it. Yeah. Versus omens are all interpretation. Because there's no language, there's no instructions, it's all interpretation. So you're kind of at the mercy of your interpreter, unless a god rolls up and then tells you directly what they want, but that usually doesn't happen. So he's at the mercy of his interpreter. But the fact that Agamemnon carries it through is kind of what's more important than anything else. Because again, House of Atreus. He's just continuing the bullshit of the great housewives of Atreus. But yeah, that's, as I usually say, like, oracles are usually, like, reasonably specific, pretty clear. If you're not understanding, that's on you. Omens are so just interpretation. It's all interpretation. There's no language. Does Hestia ever punish mortals who break Xenia? No. That is specifically in the realm of Zeus. Zeus is the one tied to Xenia, not Hestia. And Hestia is an interesting one of the Olympians, since she doesn't really have any myths of her own. She's, I mean, you could say she's the least air quotes problematic, but she's very much like, she kind of stays out of it. She's like, I'm not getting involved. But she doesn't really have that much of a mythology of her own that I can think of off the top of my head. Now, again, I could be incorrect. There could be stuff that I'm forgetting. My brain is a sieve. That's not surprising. But no, Xenia is directly tied to Zeus. Zeus is the god associated with Xenia, not Hestia. Is there any god who hasn't punished a mortal? Like, directly? In some way? Most of the time, the punishment is coming in some way from Zeus, or at least with his approvals. You kind of always sort of have to go through him in some way. I mean, again, Hestia... In terms of the Olympians, I would say probably Hestia. She might be the only one. It's because, again, she doesn't really get that involved. Yeah, I mean, she really does just sort of tend the hearth. I mean, there's also the part that she essentially abdicated her throne on Olympus to Dionysus. So she kind of willingly stepped away going, I frankly don't want to be involved. I'm good chilling here. Yeah, Hestia is an interesting one because she is like, she's just not that involved. We don't have much about her. Similarly to how I was talking about Iris, how like, she doesn't really have a myth of her own. She just pops up in tons of others. Hestia kind of, so far as I can think, doesn't really have a myth of her own. She's like mentioned and a part of other ones, but she doesn't actively involve herself in a lot. It's kind of interesting. Where was I? Oh, we were on about the plow. You'd see what a straight, unbroken furrow I could cut you then. Or if Zeus would bring some battle on out of the blue this very day, and give me a shield and 2 spears and a bronze helmet to fit this soldier's temples, then you'd see me fight where front ranks clash. No more mocking this belly of mine, not then. Enough! You're sick with pride, you brutal fool. No doubt you count yourself a great, powerful man, because you sport with a puny crowd, ill-bred to boot. Get him, Odysseus. If only Odysseus came back home and stood right here, in a flash you'd find those doors, broad as they are, too cramped for your race to safety through the porch. Oh. Is Hestia more a keeps to herself god, or a generally has positive relationships with gods and just doesn't get involved type? Kind of a both. Like, nobody seems to have beef with Hestia. She doesn't seem to have beef with anybody else. She just kind of keeps to herself and doesn't get involved. She seems to, like, yeah, it's kind of both, really. She generally does seem to have positive relationships with other gods. And again, nobody beefs with her. She also just doesn't really involve herself. Yeah, I know. First Penelope and now a beggar calling Eurymachus out. Thank you, Odysseus. Priapus. What was that an answer to? Absolute fire. That we poked Eurymachus's pride. I love when we poke the dumbass's pride. Yeah, honestly, good for her. That made Eurymachus's fury seethe and burst. He gave the beggar a dark look and let fly. You, odious! I'll make you pay for your ugly rant, bold as brass in the face of all these lords. No fear in your heart. Wine's got to your wits, which I'm assuming, Mariana would say, this mimics Melanto, doesn't it? No fear in your heart. Wine's got your wits. They're mirroring each other. Because of course they are. I was going to say, I'm like, that sounds familiar. Same verses, yep. Or do you always play the fool and babble nonsense? Lost your head, have you, because you drubbed that hobo Iris? That is literally the same. That is line for line the same. It makes sense. Melanto, as we know, is the lover of Eurymachus. So of course their verses mirror each other. As he shouted out, he seized a stool, but Odysseus, fearing the blow, which he's already endured one stool being thrown at him, come on, crouched at Amphinomus's knees as Eurymachus hurled and hit the wine steward, clipping his right hand. Poor wine steward catching strays. His cup dropped, clattered along the floor, and flat on his back he went, groaning in the dust. The suitors broke into uproar through the shadowed halls, glancing at one another, trading angry outcries. Would to God this drifter had dropped dead. Anywhere else before he landed here. Then he'd never have loosed such pandemonium. Now we're squabbling over beggars. No more joy in this sumptuous feast. New riot rules the day. See how quickly they turn. It's ridiculous. For now, Prince Telemachus dressed them down. Fools! You're out of your minds. No hiding it. Food and wine have gone to your heads. Some god has got your blood up. Come, now you've eaten well. Go home to bed. Get the fuck out my house. When the spirit moves, that is. I, for one, I'll drive no guest away. So he declared, and they all bit their lips, amazed the prince could speak with so much daring. At last Amphinomus rose to the floor, the noted son of Nisus, King Aretias's grandson. Nice, I drive no guest away. Nice, Biggles, nice. And this is when Amphinomus chooses to speak. Again, playing the long game. I hate this man so much. Fair enough, my friends. When a man speaks well, we have no grounds for wrangling, no cause for abuse. Hands off the stranger, and any other servant in King Odysseus's palace. Yeah, see, notice how Amphinomus only steps in now that Telemachus has called them all out. Funny how that works. Funny how that works. Opportunistic snake. Opportunistic snake! Sarah, you're back just in time. Come, steward, pour first drops for the god in every cup. Let's make libations, then go home to bed. The stranger? Leave him here in Odysseus' halls, and have his host, Telemachus, tend him well. It's the prince's royal house the man has reached. The way I would nutshot this man so fast and make him cower on the ground. So he said, Agnes, knock it off. His proposal pleased them all. Of course it did. He speaks well. He's a fucking psychopath. So you do know how Xenia works, and yet. I know, it's like, and yet indeed. And gallant Amulius, a herald of Dulichion, a friend in arms of Lord Amphinomus too, mixed the men a bowl, and hovering closely poured rounds for all. They tipped cups to the blissful gods, and then libations made. They drank the heady wine to their heart's content, and went their ways to bed, each suitor to his own house. And that is the end of chapter 18. As we say, the ultimate chapter of and yet, which honestly is also the great chapter in which we sass Amphinomus and Eurymachus and Antinous, and we play them for the absolute dumbasses they are. Yeah, Amphinomus' head is so far up his ass, it's basically integrated. Yeah, no, his head's so far up his ass, that lump in his throat is his goddamn nose. Notice how he only steps in to, air quotes, defend that tramp, if you will, once Telemachus sets up. And even then he goes, oh, but he's the prince's royal guest. Ugh, I hate him so much. Oh, Sarah, you said you had stuff to add for the end of the chapter. We have reached the end. I am now curious, since you're back, what it was we had. The chapter of shutting the suitors the fuck up is absolutely great. When a man speaks well, this is Amphinomus' core as a suitor. He spells out his main strategy. It showcases his hypocrisy. As long as I act nice, they won't feel comfortable throwing me out. It's like, see, I know how Xenia works. It's like, okay, but... Okay, and so... Like, honestly, it is like that, but it's like... And for me, it just, like, so backfires because we're like, so you do know how this works. If Penelope were there, she'd have clocked his ass so hard. This line prompted my prosecutor argument joke. Oh my God, Sarah, I love it. I love it. For those who weren't in the Discord, there was an entire joke of her as the prosecutor, just like, this is the case against Amphinomus. It's like, and yet. It's like, so you do know how this works. At which point, he would have to speak himself in absolute circles to defend himself, which he can't. That's the whole point. There's nothing defendable about what they're doing. Like, there is nothing you can say to make what they're doing is okay. Or make them seem like good people. Because they're not. And it just makes it even worse that he can show. And, like, he knows exactly what is actually proper. It makes him even worse. Because it's like... Because the other suitors have given no indication that they are capable of good zendia. He proves he knows what it is, and he's still doing this. Oh, I hate him so much. And yeah, Penelope would have absolutely clocked his fucking ass so hard. Yeah. Yeah, she would have manifested a clock to whack him with it. Agnes, I'm concerned you're not joking. Cue back at the moment where Athena powers up Odysseus just a bit and Antinous threatens, I lost how Antinous calls Eros according to Bagels. Yeah. Agnes, you do realize that him saying that makes him look all the worse, right? Okay, silly. Okay, I had to check. You weren't giving me tags, and I was like, ugh. So let me see here. Beggar-King of Ithaka. Where Antinous... Hold on. So, back to the moment Athena powers up Odysseus just a bit. Yeah. And Antinous threatens Eros. I lost how Antinous calls Eros according to Bagels. Oh, so that bit where the Antinous rounded on him, being Eros, flinging insults. You clumsy ox. You're better off dead or never born at all if you cringe at him, paralyzed with fear of an old broken hulk, ground down by the pains that hound his steps. Mark my word, so help me, I'll make it good if that old relic whips you and wins the day. I'll toss you into a black ship and sail you off to Echetus, the mainland king who wrecks all men alive. He'll lop your nose and ears with his ruthless blade. He'll rip your privates out by the roots. He will, and serve them up to his dogs to bolt down raw. Oh, before that? Not Antinous then, the suitors talking to each other. Oh! The bits that they say before then? Sure. Despite their swagger, the suitors were amazed, gaping at one another, trading forecasts. Iris will soon be ironed out for good. He's in for the beating he begged for all along. Look at the hams on that old timer, just under his rags. That bit? Oh, Athena standing beside him. Sure, I can do that bit. Sorry. Oh, here we go. They all shouted approval of the prince as Odysseus belted up, roping his rags around his loins, bearing his big, rippling thighs, his boxer's broad shoulders, his massive chest, and burly arms on display, as Athena stood beside him, fleshing out the limbs of the great commander. Despite their swagger, the suitors were amazed, gaping at one another, trading forecasts. It's Iros. Or Iros. Is it a pun? So it's like Aronataro, which is what Hector insults Paris by calling him Disparis. Ah, we love puns. Good puns. We love a good pun. Look at those hams. I love that bit. I know. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. One, good, poetic echoes of Iliad, but also we love puns. But Iro is an insult first, because that's a female name. So we anglicize it as Irus or Eros here. Oh, so it's Iro or Iro. Oh, like hero. Oh, that is funny, actually. I like that even better. Like hero, like in Much Ado About Nothing. Oh, that is funny, actually. I can see how that would be lost in, like, translation English. So he does the Irus because it sounds like or like Irus. Yeah. I think it's probably supposed to be pronounced Irus in this English anglicizing of it because Iris. I wonder actually what he says for what do we have for Irus? Oh, he says it is like Irus, nickname of the Ithacan beggar whose true name is Arneus. Oh, so I've been saying it wrong. It is supposed to be Irus. Irus, like Iris. Yeah, duh. It makes sense. Like Iris. That makes sense. Oh, that's funny. Anywho, that is book 18. Are there any questions related specifically to book 18 or for books 1 to 18 of the Odyssey? It has the aspiration, I think. Yihis, a yihro. Aspirated vowels always kill me. Oh, hiro. Oh, on the first letter. Oh, so it's like hiro, like hiris. Ah, interesting. Interesting. But yes, any questions that anybody has for the Odyssey books 1 to 18? If not, I'll open it to just like other questions related either to Greek myth or, and if nothing for there, we open up to just random shit we can talk about. No final thoughts on Venomous. He's a psychopathic snake. Down. Down, Agnes. He actually scares me more than the others. We are getting closer and closer to the slaughter. This, like I say, I love how Homer does not automatically give us the catharsis of the slaughter. He just like further drives home why the slaughter needs to happen and how we're setting it up. It's all about the dun, 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 dun. Mission Impossible, you know. I think it's an insult to Snake. Actually, it is. I'm so sorry to snakes. I should not compare you. Who was the first to ride Pegasus? Perseus. Perseus never rode the Pegasus. Perseus never rode the Pegasus. It's only ever Bellerophon or Bellerophon. Had the Oresteia ended by the time Odysseus gets home? No. Timeline-wise, I don't know. I don't think it had. I think we'd be getting into like the last bit, which is the Eumenides. I think, but don't get lost in the weeds of time and space too much. I agree. This is the adding to the crime sheet chapter. Yeah, this is absolutely the, and wow, the charges against you. Your rep sheet is huge. Yeah, this is absolutely, but even more we're seeing like, what's it like, because we've seen like Eumaeus and he talks about it, but now even more we're spending time as Odysseus watching it all happen. And literally that part with Melantho, that's just gotta kill him. Because he's like, you're supposed to be serving my wife. What the fuck? Has Penelope's dad heard word of what's happening, and would he have any recourse to the suitors, or would he also have to wait? He technically has to wait for Odysseus. If we haven't declared Odysseus dead, there's not that much that he can do, because she's technically not her father's property anymore, right? This all really depends on declaring Odysseus dead. So has he heard what's happening? Maybe, but there's not really much that he can do. It's technically not his circus, not his monkeys anymore, you know? Am I flashing badly? Were some accounts where Telemachus gets involved with Orestes somehow? Does Telemachus get involved with Orestes somehow? Maybe. I don't remember well enough either. But if I were to approximate a timeline between like what's happening in the Oresteia versus what's happening here, I would say we're maybe like probably getting set up for the Eumenides at this point. Like, so I don't think technically it's all the way done, but I'm honestly not entirely sure. And that's sort of getting lost in the weeds a bit. Telemachus involved with Neoptolemus. I mean, we know Neoptolemus and Orestes have their problems with each other. I remember hearing somewhere that Helen's father was king of Sparta, but Penelope's is also, is there some other kingdom? No, that is correct. You could kind of have, see, we use the word king, but think almost more like warlords than like kings the way we think of them in like later monarchies kind of situation. So they were both kings of Sparta, right? It's sort of just like who's technically the most powerful, like who's the highest on the totem pole of that? It would have been Tyndareus versus his brother, Icarius, right? So Icarius is also a king of Sparta, But like Tyndareus, you can almost say, is like the high king of Sparta. Of course, now that would be Menelaus. For request for a spoiler, will we get to see the reunion of Odysseus and his dad? Yes, we will. That is very famously part of book 24. We will have Odysseus and Laertes meet. It's very sad and beautiful. Heart-wrenching, really. I think he mentioned Orestes in the first 4 books. Yeah, so Orestes does get mentioned in the first 4 books because we're talking about, especially in like the, we hear about what he's dealing with because look what happened to Agamemnon, look now what Orestes is dealing with kind of thing. So that would imply that essentially the Oresteia is still sort of happening, potentially. The Telemachus Orestes and Odyssey Agamemnon is absolutely central in the Odyssey, but it's like outside of the Homerics. But outside of the Homerics? Yeah. Like maybe, I'm with you, Mariana. I honestly can't remember well enough. It's like, again, for those who are curious, like when we talk about the Greek myth, there's like so much because there's no like Bible, there's no centralized text, and it's just like my brain is a sieve and trying to search through a ton of information, and right now coming up blank. Oh, it's very directly part of the parallels, though. Oh, yeah, no. Telemachus to Orestes, Odysseus to Agamemnon, very deliberate. I mean, it's why, like, before they the gods start talking about Odysseus ever, they're talking about Agamemnon. Like, the parallel is so clear. It's why, like, everybody was so curious why I was, like, when I first listened to Epic, everybody was just like, why are you bringing up Agamemnon so much? I'm like, because it's so important, like, in the Odyssey, that parallel is so deliberate, like, and constantly brought up. If I were to punish the suitors, slowly, painfully, make them beg for death, it would be great. In a way, yeah, the events are kind of haunting each other's narratives in a way, absolutely. Oh, Peg heard you guys could hear her snoring, so now she's quiet. Yeah, baby girl. Beautiful. Look, I hate the suitors so much that I'm like, oh no, you will wish you were dead. Give some revenge is the dish best and give some good Monte Cristo treatment. Ah, yes. Yeah, it is. I mean, it speaks to how, in some ways, physically infirm Laertes must have become. Also it speaks to how strong then Odysseus was in comparison. Like, maybe his father still kind of had it, but he was being bested by his son. It was Odysseus' time to step in. Give them the Monte Cristo treatment meds. Are there other sources of Agamemnon's murder? Do we only have him telling us in the Odyssey? Notably, you get the Oresteia by Aeschylus. The first play is called Agamemnon, and it's all about Agamemnon coming home and his murder. Like, that all happens in Agamemnon, which is a great play, by the way. Like, the whole Oresteia, a masterpiece. I really do love Agamemnon. So you have that, and it's mentioned in other things. The murder and death of Agamemnon is like such a big crucial part of his story that anything like the Bibliothecae and the like are going to mention it. But kind of the two big things people will often point to is stuff like its parallels in the Odyssey, and then of course the Oresteia is like the really big one. Because again, and the reason again the Oresteia is so important, even from a historical standpoint, is the fact that it is the only canonical tragic trilogy we have, because again, everybody was writing essentially every year a trilogy of plays they would put on, but this is the only trilogy we have that was actually a trilogy, all three performed in the same year. They were meant to go together, so we have that. So it has great historical value, but also it's a great set of plays, and it totally surrounds the death of Agamemnon and how Orestes gets his revenge and how all of that gets put to right, the ending of that sort of bloodline clusterfuck. Do I have a favorite moment in the Odyssey besides the slaughter of the suitors? Oh, the Polyphemus Cave. Book 9, my beloved. Book 9, my beloved. Book 9 is so much fun. Because there's just so much that happens in Book 9. It's so good. I do also like the Kingdom of the Dead, but it mainly because it pulls on my heartstrings. So like Book 9 and Book 11 are two that I also really love. Oh yeah, no, I was kind of curious about that too. That does the discourse between Odysseus and Penelope about the dangers of war, if that somehow mirrors Hector and Andromache in the Iliad. I wouldn't be surprised if it does, given we've already done the whole screen memory thing of his comparisons to Andromache in book 8. But I would not be surprised if it does. The ODYSSEY is super fun. I do love the ODYSSEY. Yeah, ODYSSEY definitely makes more sense if you have, like, it is richer if you know the Iliad and the Odyssey. I mean, really, if you know all the mythology, which, of course, by the time it's being performed, like, yeah, everybody knew who Agamemnon was. They knew that story. It was so well known. But the way that Aeschylus dramatizes it is, mwah, chef's kiss. So good. If you were the one chosen to give the golden apple, who would have you picked? I wouldn't. I'd have dropped it and I'd have handed it back to Zeus and say, I am not worthy to make this decision. Only Zeus could. I would throw it right back at him. I can't. I'd be like, I know better than to totally fuck my life this way. Reading ODYSSEY after reading the Iliad. That's going to be the big poll after we do Iliad, is what do people want to do next? Do we do ODYSSEY? Do we do Argonautica? Like, there have been a couple things thrown around, and so I'm going to leave that to a vote and have my hands off. Do I have a favorite suitor to hate? Like, which one do I hate the most? I pretty much loathe them all equally, because especially of the ones who, like, pop up. So, like, really between Antinomus, Eurymachus, and Amphinomus, I hate all three with equal loathing. Because they all suck. Like, I don't think I hate one more than the other. They'll each do different things that piss me off. And they're all in the same boat. Like, from the jump, I hate them all. Because I hate what they're doing. Like, already from the jump kind of thing. But then, what if Zeus hits you with a choose? I might give it to Athena. If, like, the whole thing is I'll make you the wisest of all people, I'll be like, a wise man would frankly not choose, but if I'm being forced, my question would be, what if I don't choose? Like, I want the answer to that question. What if I don't choose? Is if I don't choose, I get death? I would maybe choose being the wisest, because then I could figure out how to live, and if not, I would go, okay, I have to live for Peg. Now, if Peg's not in the equation, I would just go, just kill me. I'm not making the decision, but Peg is in the equation. I have to live, and I will choose something like I will be the wisest human alive, which I would be immediately discounting that by making the choice that I'm making, but I'd be like, I've got Peg. I will wisely set her up for success before I am then probably murdered. Yeah, expedite. I'll take my one-way ticket to Hades, please. Peg is the love of my life. But Argos. Yeah, it'd be like, I would just like be like, but my baby, what of Peg? It's like, you have your daughter who you love. This is my daughter who I love. No, that would be pretty insulting to them to cut the apple up. I mean, yeah, I get we're all trying to split the difference, but the whole thing is you want the whole thing. That is not how the gods work. Sure, a wise human does not say no, which is why I would just ask more clarifying questions. I'd probably drive Zeus nuts because I would ask a million clarifying questions. That's because I'm the daughter of a lawyer. I want to know all of the ins, ands, and outs of this contract I'm apparently being roped into against my will. I want to know all the deets. I would drive him nuts.